The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everybody, co-host Corey here. As I'm sure you're aware, there are multiple fires burning through Los Angeles right now. Unfortunately, our friends Dustin from $2 Late Fee and his wife Erin, and Max from Ready to Retro and his wife Jasmine, they lost their entire homes in the Altadena fire. 2 GoFundMe campaigns have been set up, one for each family, and I've put the links in the show notes below. If you have, any inclination or the means, please consider donating to both of those GoFundMe accounts. I mean, I can't even imagine what they're going through right now, literally losing everything in the fires. And it's heartbreaking, and I mean, it's crazy in Los Angeles right now. So like I said, if you have the ability or the means, please consider contributing to their GoFundMe accounts to help them rebuild their lives. Thank you guys so much, and now on to the show.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, The A-Team, starring Liam Neeson, Bradley Cooper, Sharlto Copley, and Quinton Rampage Jackson.
Wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team. Dun,
I thought you were going to say Mr. Belvedere.
Streaks on the china never matter before. Who cares?
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead and do your dun-da-da-da.
Dun-da-da-da. Now I can't remember how it went. I had it right then and there, and I lost it.
That's going to be every time I've got nothing to add to a scene. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, that's good, because it kind of goes with the Seinfeld thing that you did last episode. That was pretty funny.
What was that? I don't remember.
I don't know, buddy. A lot has happened since the last time we have recorded.
No kidding.
But what's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast After Dark. I'm one half of the Pad team, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me, as always, my brother from another mother, Zach, the total snackage Schaefer. And this is sort of one half of our conversation about the A-Team. We had the first half of that conversation was last week during 80s Kids Unite, when we discussed our favorite Stephen J. Cannell shows from the 80s. Tim from Talking Back talked about the A-Team. And, so this right here is we are reviewing the 2010 remake movie. This is a Patreon pick. Brian, a.k.a. Oi Lung on Patreon. But Brian is a high tier, the highest tier Patreon member for both $2 Late Fee and Podcasting After Dark. So we figured it was appropriate to not only take his suggestion for 80s Kids Unite, but also, when we do his movie as well, A-Team, the 2010 remake. So we hope that you guys also listen to that episode prior to this. I do hope that this is a bit of a continuation of that discussion, Zach. And hopefully during the course of this breakdown of this movie that came out in 2010, we can maybe connect some dots and be like, okay, they were trying to do this with the TV show, and, sort of figure out how this ties into the TV show, or we know how it ties in, if it ties in well, I guess is what we're trying to say. So Zach, what's the first time you've ever seen the A-Team, the movie, A-Team the movie, not the TV show?
About a week ago.
There you go. I figured you didn't catch it back in 2010.
I did not. I was one of those people who's like, I'm not seeing this. I don't want to see this movie. How many remakes of TV shows are they going to do? And I'm just over this, Right. Especially in the trailer, they blow up the A-Team van. I was like, nope, I'm out. That's not what I want. Because I echo what Diallo said on 80s Kids Unite, where he's not a fan of comedic reboots. And this looked like a comedic reboot of the A-Team TV series. While the A-Team TV series had a lot of comedic elements to it, this looked like I don't know. I just didn't expect it to be that good. Came and went, and here we are 15 years later doing a breakdown thanks to Brian. Thank you, Brian, because honestly, I really loved it. I watched it with Femme French and with Bodhi. All three of us watched the movie, and all three of us thoroughly enjoyed it. Kristen loved it, and Bodhi really liked it too. And actually, he was like wanting to know more about the A-Team, and then I told him, I said, well, it's in 1983, so it's a little bit different. I said, do you want to watch it? It's like, no. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Because it's not the same energy. This is like, Marvel movie meets A-Team.
Right. And I completely understand where you're coming from on not wanting to watch another remake. I mean, my God, at this point we had Starsky and Hutch. We had, the Dukes of Hazzard, which, I mean, I love Broken Lizard. I did not enjoy the Dukes of Hazzard remake.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, yep. It's them. It was them. They did it. They did that to us. Zach, did they remake Chips?
I mean, look,
I can't remember if they did Chips or not during that
They didn't do Chips, but look, did I like Starsky and Hutch? Yes. Did I like 21 Jump Street? Yes.
Yeah, see, I love 21 Jump Street. See, that I think they did right because they did it so like left field. They were like, you know what? But yet it's still tied into the original show, which was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, no, I thought they actually did a pretty decent job for, like, I again echo what Diallo said. I would have liked a more serious tone, but I still really, really liked it. I thought 22 Jump Street was pretty good too.
Me too.
But like we've been inundated with remakes and reboots and movie versions of TV shows, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, well, I don't know if I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
Where was I in 2010? I have no idea. But now in 2015 or 2025, looking for movies that I can watch as a family, this was one of them for sure.
Yeah, no, I think Myra would have actually enjoyed this. I don't remember exactly when I saw it. I know I didn't see it in the theater. But what I do remember is that this is one of two movies that I've ever watched back to back. Like at the moment I stopped watching it, I rewound it or, just hit play again and watched it again. Now, both times it's because I was sick. The first one was The Breakfast Club, and it happened when I had my tonsils taken out. And that was the first time, I was like in high school, 90s, and that was like the first time that I had ever watched a movie like twice in a row. And then the A-Team, I was sick. I know I was like homesick, and I was like, oh, yeah, let me just pop this in. It's something, eye candy, popcorny to sort of watch. And I loved it so much that I watched it again. Now, 2010, this is like peak Bradley Cooper. Like, this is peak Jessica Biel. Like Patrick Wilson's in this. Like, we have like an A-list cast. And now looking back, you realize like we have an A-list cast like sort of at the top of like their game, And I know that like Rocket Raccoon was probably big for Bradley Cooper, but like when I think of Bradley Cooper, I think of this movie. I love him as Face Man. I think they did a great job with that. I think ultimately, I mean, we're going to talk more extensively. I think B.A. Baracus was kind of the weakest link in the whole bunch, but I don't think Quinton Rampage Jackson, I don't think he did a bad job. It's just hard to live up to Mr. T. But other than that, I think this movie kind of exemplifies the best way to remake an old property. I think this movie keeps the feel of it. And then on top of it, it's actually like it's sort of like everything I've always wanted. You see how the team gets made or comes together. You see the mission that goes wrong that sends them into basically into the federal penitentiary system. And then they kind of clear their names, but then at the end they're still fugitives, so it actually becomes a prequel to the TV show. And you can say that BA just bought another truck or they got another truck and they repaired it. And I'm with you. I hated seeing the truck die. And I thought that was probably the worst thing the movie sort of did. But if that's the worst thing that this movie did, that's not that bad in the great scheme of like of a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I do. I feel like this cast is and in front of the camera, behind the camera, it's pretty stacked.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it I can't recall how well it did when it came out, but I know they had like a toy line for it. They released a few figures based on the characters in the movie, and I think they came out with the van as well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rad. So obviously they're acknowledging that you're selling this to kids somewhat. And two, also, because it was on the tip of my head, I'm like, what other TV shows did they remake? Well, they did The Equalizer, they did SWAT. Those are two other action.
Oh yeah, I always forget because like SWAT was such a generic movie, but I forget that was a remake of a TV show. I never watched SWAT, so I kind of forgot about it.
I didn't either, but I know that CBS has a SWAT show now, and my stepfather-in-law loves that show, and it's very formulaic by the numbers. This movie's formulaic and by the numbers, so to speak. It goes down a path that you would expect to a point. I definitely was surprised, though, and pleasantly surprised.
I do, as a continuation of the previous conversation, Zach, I do want us to talk about, or I want to get your thoughts on what you think of the casting. Like, not just their background, because obviously we can talk about, okay, Liam Neeson, just, what's your favorite movie? We can do that again, because we know a lot of these actors. But I want to know how you think that they did casting-wise compared to, like the original cast, So, so jumping in, let's just start with Hannibal, Liam Neeson, compared to George Papard.
Yes. Yeah, George Papard.
Yeah,
I mean, it's big. It's hard shoes to fill. Like, I don't think Liam Neeson necessarily has the same charisma that George Papard has.
I agree with you there. I think Liam Neeson tries to smile, and it looks like a smile that can still kill you. Whereas George Papard, when his smile was kind of infectious,
Yeah, I don't buy it.
But that being said, I buy Liam Neeson being a military colonel. I never bought George Papard as a military guy.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. I like him in this role.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I don't think he's, stacked up against the original Hannibal, not as likable. He doesn't have that same charm to him. I mean, but George Papard was in Breakfast at Tiffany's, like he's a romantic comedy, he's been in those kind of movies. Liam Neeson has too, but I mean, he's not known for that. He's known for his hard roles like Taken and, the one where he fights the wolves in the Gray.
The Gray. Yeah. I wanted to like that movie. But it sucks because, spoiler alert, the stuff that they showed in the trailer of him getting ready to fight the wolves was the end of the movie, and you don't actually see him fight the wolves. It's actually kind of assumed that he dies. But I'm like, I wanted to see him go out fighting. Now that is actually, I think, the same director. I think he directed The Gray right after he directed this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
that's interesting.
Well, I'll verify that in a second, but I will say, Zach, I'll throw it to you, like you always do to me when we have kind of big names like this. What's your favorite Liam Neeson role?
Oh gosh, Darkman.
That would be my number 2. Yeah, it would definitely be close to number 1, but I got to go with Qui-Gon Jinn from Phantom Menace. He's
of course you do. I know. Would definitely not go that way.
I know.
Qui-Gon Jinn. How dare you?
How dare
I thought you'd go with Next of Kin.
No, I'd still go with Qui-Gon Jinn and then Darkman.
I would go with his role in Suspect where he doesn't say anything.
Touché.
But also, the tragic thing about Liam Neeson, like his wife died of a brain aneurysm. Yeah. And so after that, that's when he did all those like really dark action movies like Doy. That makes sense.
Because I think he just wanted to fucking work and just turn his brain off, man. Like that's the horrifying shit that I think of when I'm like laying in bed at night and I'm high and I start, freaking out. It's like if Myra like passes away like that, like when we're still semi young, like how the fuck would I even like handle that? I remember a story about Peter Cushing, played obviously Grand Moff Tarkin in A New Hope. But when his wife died, it's so sad. It's
Van Helsing, motherfucker.
I know.
How dare you?
When his wife died, he tried to kill himself. He tried to give himself a heart attack by running up and down the stairs of his house until he was almost basically exhausted, and Christopher Lee had to come over and basically console him. And I'm just like, that is just, I don't want to ever experience something like that, you know?
I mean, yeah.
You're like, yeah, obviously.
You know, I'm like, I got no comforting words for you on that one.
You're like, no, that's a nightmare. That sounds like a horrible experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, Zach, Bradley Cooper, how do you think he did as Face Man compared to Dirk Benedict?
I'd say pretty spot on. You know, Dirk Benedict is a cheeseball actor too.
Yeah.
And I think Bradley Cooper's better at playing a cheeseball actor than he is playing like a, you know, serious. He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
I'm not discrediting him at all, but I think he's better in a cheeseball kind of comedic role.
He's much more fun when he's like sort of like goofy a little bit like he is in this movie. He's still serious, but like his character's kind of like having fun, and that's the kind of Bradley Cooper that I like. For me, I think this is the best casting of the movie. I almost kind of have a feeling they got him first and they're like, oh, he's perfect for Face. Now we have to build the cast sort of around him.
Around him.
And
I will say, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, it's funny because obviously we all know Rocket Raccoon and everything, but honestly, this might be my favorite Bradley Cooper role.
Yeah, I think so. I really liked him in Wedding Crashers.
He is pretty great in that too.
And his character's name is Zach, so I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, it's funny. Like, I don't got anything against these guys. I don't go to a movie because it's a Bradley Cooper movie. The same way I don't go to a movie because it's a Ryan Reynolds movie.
Right.
Like, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. They're good looking dudes and they can act, but I'm not putting my dollars down because they're in it. You know, I'm putting them down because like the story looks good. I honestly, like, if someone says, "Oh, it's a Bradley Cooper movie," I go, "Okay, well, I'll wait till it's streaming."
Yeah.
You know, like I got no desire, nothing. Gone, I think, are the days of going to the movies because someone's in it. Those days are gone.
Because
sadly,
as you were saying that about, you know, like I don't go to see Bradley Cooper or anything or Ryan Reynolds, I started thinking, I was like, I agree with you. And then I was like, but who do I go to see a movie for? Because like as a kid in the 80s, it would have been like Arnold Schwarzenegger. If he was
Harrison
in a movie.
Ford.
Yeah, Harrison Ford. It's like
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You know, all these guys. But now, yeah, it's like, you know, I get excited about performances. Like I enjoyed Bill Skarsgård's performance in Nosferatu as Count Orlok, but I didn't go to see that movie for Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah. Like, is there a movie I would go to see because someone's in it? Probably not.
I think that's the answer. Like in 2025 and moving forward, or like even just 10 years back or 20 years back, there's nothing I was seeing that was because of the actor. It's because of the story that I wanted to go see it.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad.
It's sad. Yeah. That's sad.
That's sad. But you know who's not sad is Sharlto Copley. And fun fact, when I go to the bathroom, sometimes I say I have to Sharlto Copley.
I love how you and I both call him Sharlto, but it's like Sharlto.
Sharlto.
Yeah, I do.
Sharlto.
I will never be able to do that. He will always be Sharlto Copley to me, and I'm with you. I sometimes refer to my poops as Sharlto Copley.
Sorry, Sharlto. Change your name. Change your fucking name.
We're canceled.
Change your name.
We're canceled.
You know, but you know what? So he is a spitting image of John Philbin from Turtle from North Shore and Return of the Living Dead and Point Break. He looks just like John Philbin.
Yeah.
And like even like his mannerisms are very similar. So every time I see him, I'm like, that's John Philbin. He's like a young version of John Philbin. He's a modern John Philbin. I don't have a problem with that because I think John Philbin is a very underrated actor. And he's my favorite character and actor in this movie. And it was for Bodhi too. Bodhi's like, I think his character Murdoch was my favorite character. Like, yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. So Face Man is my favorite, but this version of Murdoch I like more than the TV show. Not gonna lie,
Me too.
I never never kind of liked Murdoch when I was a kid. It's funny because I think he was supposed to be the more kid-friendly character on the show, but I was always a Hannibal and Faceman dude, and I didn't like Murdoch as a kid, like at all. I was just not into him, and this is like the only time that I've actually liked the Murdoch character because I like what Sharlto is doing with it.
Sharlto.
And Zach, to you, what's your favorite?
Dwight Schultz, by the way, is the actor that played Murdoch in the original.
Yes,
and he's okay.
Yeah, and he was Lieutenant Barclay on Star Trek. Like, he had a bunch of episodes with him on that and whatnot. But Sharlto, what's your favorite movie aside from this?
Sharlto. I don't know, District 9, I guess. But no, I don't know. I like District 9. I actually like seeing him more. I like seeing him, yeah,
because he kind of towards like the second half of that movie, he's under a lot of makeup and everything.
Yeah, and I kind of like, I like seeing him. So, I mean, I guess that's my favorite of his. Outside of this, maybe this one.
Yeah,
maybe this one.
He does have a lot to do in this one. I'll throw it out there. A movie that you and I watched together, Zach, but he kind of he's more of a side character in it. Europa Report.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie. Yeah, everybody should see that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I agree. That was you and I watched that. I think it was the same year that we watched that TV show about like it was almost like The Thing. It was like in Antarctica or something like that.
Oh yeah, that was good. It was the guy from I think the guy, he's in the Shogun series now, and also our boy who played the Rocketeer.
Yes.
Was in that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good movie or a TV show.
Yeah, I never finished it though.
Yeah, because I think it started to get crappy, like second season in.
Yeah.
But yeah, you and I used to watch like every episode of that together.
Yeah, we did. That was when I lived in Santa Monica, so I could just pretty much swing by and hang out with Zach and Femme French. And I think at that point Bodie was like a wee little boy.
Oh my God. I think he was, I would like lay him down for his nap and then we'd watch some TV together.
Yeah. Get Corey go outside, smoke some weed in the car to come back in.
Right.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. And by the way, guys and gals, I know Zach usually handles the cast and crew. He is getting over a cold, and I'm trying to preserve his vocal cords as long as possible because it's kind of a long breakdown. This movie's 2 hours long, and I tried to do my best to kind of truncate some things and everything, but it's still a little bit of a beefy breakdown. So I do want to try to salvage Zach's voice. I don't want him blown out like with an hour left of us to get through the episode. But Quinton Rampage Jackson as B.A. Baracus, AKA, Mr. T, that's a huge fucking personality to live up to. And I think he's the weakest link in the movie, but that's not to say he's bad. It's just he's in a movie with Liam Neeson, Bradley Cooper, and Sharlto Copley, and Jessica Biel. Like, it's not his fault that he's kind of the weakest one there. He's like an MMA fighter. Yeah,
and Mr. T was actually he had some acting credits under his belt before he became B.A. Baracus on A-Team. He can act. This guy is putting a wrestler in there, and if they're not that well trained, then they're just kind of running through the numbers. He just runs through the numbers. He's not bad, but it's just meh, okay,
And sometimes he sometimes will sound like Mr. T. He's like, I kill you, fool, and I'm like, okay, you're channeling Mr. T, but then he doesn't always talk like that. Whereas Mr. T always talked like Mr. T,
He's the only one in the movie that's doing an impression of Mr. T versus the other guys who are just doing their own characters.
Dude, couldn't have summed it up better myself. You're 100% correct on that one.
I know.
And as far as movies go with him in it, honestly, dude, I mean, he has quite a few credits. I don't remember him from literally anything. And I've seen some of the movies he's been in, like The Midnight Meat Train, and I do not remember him in it at all. So I will just say this movie.
When people are like, because I don't like MMA fighting, and people are like, what do you mean you don't like the MMA fight? You love wrestling. I'm like, yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Wrestling has like a storyline. It's a soap opera. It's, predetermined, but there's so much more to it than just getting into a pit and fighting each other. It's not for me.
I'm with you, man. I'm not really into MMA. I liked it better back in the day when it was like a sumo wrestler versus a karate guy. And
Right.
and like you could always tell who was going to win.
Ultimate fighting.
Yeah, ultimate fighting. It was almost like Street Fighter, the video game.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But now everything's been so homogenized. Like everyone learns multiple techniques and stuff because every match goes to the ground. So everyone learns how to fight on the ground and shit that I'm just like, I don't know. I'm kind of bored with it.
Totally.
You know who I'm never bored with? Jessica motherfucking Biel. And this is like peak Jessica Biel, bro. My question to you is Carissa Sosa a new character for this movie, or was she on the TV show as well?
I don't think she was on the TV show.
Didn't they have like a female liaison that they kind of worked with?
It wasn't my pick.
Wasn't my pick either, so I don't know.
So Tim, Tim, you do the research. I don't recall, even though she was in the movie Total Recall, the remake. I don't remember. I remember there being like a female sidekick on the show that came on like later seasons. Because I found like a cast photo.
Yeah.
And it's the one I used for 80s Kids Unite with Tim. If you remove Tim's picture off of that 80s Kids Unite, she'll be there, whoever she is.
Whoever she is.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't buy her as like a tough person in this, just the same way I don't buy, what's her face from the Transformer movies that Michael Bay absolutely loves, Megan Fox.
Megan Fox, yeah.
They're not the same because I think Jessica Biel is a much better actor and the other one's just a model. But like, I don't buy her as that character, but it doesn't hurt the film. Like there are moments where, she's all right.
I'm just happy they didn't put her like in a fight scene or something,
Yeah, At one point, Kristen's like, she's running with high heels on? Okay.
Yeah, just 5 years prior, she did that movie Stealth, and then she was in Blade Trinity as well. It's funny, like, kind of just,
rough. That's a rough movie.
Yeah, Blade Trinity sucks fucking ass. And Stealth, I watched, that was one of the movies I watched during the day at the video store that I worked at. And you know what?
I remember Stealth.
It's a good movie to pass the time when you're working somewhere. I don't know if I'd actually want to just sit down and watch it, though.
Yeah, she's kind of that kind of actor to me. She's a good actor to pass the time when you're not doing anything.
Again, buddy, couldn't have said it better myself. All right,
Patrick Wilson's great. He's a great tool bag.
Yes, Patrick Wilson. He plays Lynch, which is it's not really his name, but there's a funny bit and gag going on. But he plays a CIA stooge. Honestly, man, I love Patrick Wilson. I'm watching this fucking movie and I'm like, this dude's a fucking movie star. Like he's a fucking movie star. But
yeah, he's in all those Conjuring movies, isn't he?
He is, and he was also in Watchmen and everything. But back in 2005, he was in a movie called Hard Candy. Did you ever see that?
I never saw Hard Candy, but I saw him. He was in like some movie that was set in the 80s. I was an HBO made for TV movie. Angels something, but he plays like he and his it's about the AIDS epidemic in New York, and he plays this character like this Mormon or something that comes to New York with his wife, and he ends up going to the Central Park at night and having sex with men, and he gets AIDS.
All right.
Couldn't see him every role after that for a while. I couldn't unsee that,
Yeah.
It took me a while. I'm like, whew, gotta shake the.
Wow. He took on some interesting roles when he was younger because, Hard Candy's a different sort of thriller / horror movie. Basically, Elliot Page, back when she was Ellen Page, she plays like an underage girl that he thinks she's underage.
Right.
But he's trapping her. She's trapping him because she knows that he's a pedophile. But then the whole movie's kind of like, maybe he is, maybe she's wrong, type of thing.
Right.
But then, it's one of those movies where it's like, it's only the two of them are in it. And it's really, really good if you ever get a chance to see it.
Yeah, no, I want to check that out. One movie you can definitely pass on is his movie Moonfall.
Buddy, I saw it.
That movie is dog crap.
It is. I wanted it to be
trash.
fun, but it's trash.
It's so trash. And one of those Conjuring movies, like they're in the middle of a seance, or I don't know, sucking a demon out of a body or whatever. And like there's he sings an Elvis song at one point. I'm like, what the hell is he doing playing an Elvis song? This is, talk about a mood killer. Anyways.
Yeah, no, real quick, buddy. Him as
Conjuring movies.
Him as Ed Warren and Vera Farmiga as Lorraine Warren is so wrongly cast. If you've ever seen a picture of Ed and Lorraine Warren, Ed is like this, he looks like a football coach kind of a guy. Like he's kind of big and he's kind of husky and everything. And he's like New York, and they were kind of shitty people too. And these Conjuring movies make them out to be fucking saints, and they absolutely were not.
You know who's not a saint in this movie, Corey? Take a guess. Who do you think it is?
Is it Gerald McRaney?
Ding, 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 ding.
Is it Major fucking Dad?
It is Major Dad, who's a major asshole.
He is. He was also in Simon and Simon, but I was happy to see him show up because he's fucking great. The limited screen time he sort of has at the beginning, especially the dialogue where he says to Hannibal, he's like, he comes in here wearing a bulletproof vest in the HQ, and that should tell you everything you need to know about the CIA. Like the way he delivers that line, I actually rewound it because it was just beautiful. He was just amazingly natural, and I love seeing him.
Yeah, I agree. Any excuse I get to shout out this movie, I will take, because it never gets brought up, and I guarantee you a very select amount of our audience knows about this movie. And if you do, please let us know on our social medias about it. I'm sure Cam's looking it up as I'm about to drop the name of it. The original title for it's called Jackals, but it's also known as American Justice, from 1986. Gerald McRaney is in it with his Simon and Simon co-star, the alum from Prince of Darkness, Jameson Parker.
Yeah.
And Wilford Brimley is also in it.
No shit.
And yeah, so if you've never seen American Justice, it's like a thriller dealing with people crossing the border, and it's a dark movie. It's really good. Really, really, really good. I have a DVD copy, if you will, of it.
Our listeners can't see you do a quote unquote with
yeah. Sorry, I think the is the quote sound. Anyways, check out American Justice, aka Jackals. You can find it on YouTube. It's like, I think it might have been a made-for-TV movie. It might have been a made-for-HBO movie.
I feel like I saw it back in the day with my dad. But okay.
You at least saw a clip of it on HBO or Cinemax because it was always on there.
Yeah.
I was going to throw out one more actor. I don't know how deep you want to go into this cast, because
I was just going to do the main bad guy, Pike. But who were you going to call out?
Yeah, I was going to do the same dream, same peen.
There you go. Brian Bloom. He is a massive name in voice talent. He does a lot of video games, cartoons, a lot of games that I've played. And yet I'm scrolling through his IMDb and it's nothing but video games and cartoons. I was like, but I fucking recognize like his face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where have I've seen him in this.
Know?
It's like, where else?
Do you know where you've seen him?
No.
A movie we broke down on Podcasting After Dark. The Stuff.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah, when he was a kid.
Oh my fucking God. It's those eyes, isn't it?
Yeah, so he was the brother.
Yeah.
Because his real life brother is also in The Stuff. But he's the one who eats the stuff.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Wow. I'll just pull it up really quick because he's got you're right. He has a very extensive voiceover resume. It's really insane, actually. That's like his bread and butter. I have a feeling might have to do with the fact that maybe he's lost a little bit of hair. And the camera seems to emphasize that at times in this movie, where the camera's like right on his bald spot. I'm like, ooh, was that intentional? Well, fun fact, he's one of the writers of this movie. So
I didn't even know that. That's a good pull right there, buddy.
Yeah. Let me just really quick pull up. He plays Jason's brother in The Stuff. And Jason, his brother, was played by Scott Bloom.
There you go.
So there you go.
And he was also in Once Upon a Time in America, too, as a kid.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch. I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's definitely recognizable. And I think the reason why, just like as women get older, then unfortunately the casting door gets closed in their faces. I think people who lose parts of their, likeness don't get respected. And it's a shame because he's really good. I did say he's a poor man's Tom Sizemore. If Tom Sizemore was still like in the game at this time in 2010, I think that role would have gone to him. But Brian Bloom wrote it. He's like, I'm putting myself in this damn movie.
Yeah, and I mean, even though, yes, he does have like the big bald spot, unlike, what was the last movie? Oh, Steel and Lace, where the main bad guy had the bald spot and they tried covering it. At least they don't try covering it here. Like, he still has like a short haircut.
They kind of emphasize it, actually.
I know.
Because the camera like gets right on it and I'm like, ooh, I would kind of be self-conscious if that was me, but whatever,
Hey, he still comes off as a badass, so, good for him.
I think it's to emphasize he's an asshole.
Yeah, I think so too. Assholes are balding, and I mean, I'm balding and I'm an asshole. Yo.
Not to us, not to me.
No,
Us. Yes, I do refer to myself as the third person. But then really quickly, the director of this movie, Joe Carnahan.
Yeah, he's also one of the writers too. Yeah.
Yeah, but he. Look, I know Smoking Aces. People love that movie, but Narc is a great movie.
Narc was a really good movie. He's done actually quite a bit. Like he did, like I said, he did The Gray. He's also like he writes. Let me see. Yep, he directed The Gray right after this, which makes sense. I wasn't a big I actually wasn't a big fan of Smoking Aces. I did very much like Narc though. I thought that was very good. And I thought The Gray was good overall, except for the fact that they kind of gave away that last scene, and then I was like, well, but then it doesn't even like pay off. But then everyone kind of likes this Frank Grillo movie, Boss Level, but I've never seen it before. And then there's a movie called Cop Shop that I believe Tim, somebody, either Action or Talking Back, covered it, and it actually sounded pretty good with Gerard Butler. Interesting.
What's up with Frank Grillo? What is he like? What is the shine rubbed off has the shine worn off the bloom on him, or what's his deal?
I don't know. I feel like he never quite popped mainstream, but I personally dig him. I liked him in, the Marvel Universe, thought he was cool, and I want to see that Werewolves movie that he was in, but it kind of came and went in the theater, kind of disappeared. But yeah, Frank Grillo didn't quite go mainstream, I think.
Yeah, it's a shame because I don't know. I don't know what the story is. There's got to be a story there.
I feel like there might be, but it's funny because Cop Shop, Frank Grillo is also in Cop Shop, as well as Toby Huss. I'm the Wiz, nobody beats me, from Seinfeld.
Oh.
Oh.
Sure.
Sometimes I think Zach's going to get a Seinfeld reference, and then he surprises me when he doesn't.
Well, very far and few between. They'll come out every now and then.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the composer, Zach?
No.
He's a nobody, right? You see, he's a nothing composer.
I mean, look, why bring up the composer when, it's like not even a big deal. It's just Alan Silvestri. Just the guy is like just, a legend. He did Mac and Me. Hello. He did Mac and Me. After
what's ridiculous, Zach?
Back to the Future.
On IMDb, how they always just put there in the first 4, they just put like the most popular. Why is The Polar Express like his most popular according to IMDb?
Movie. I think that movie sucks. I hated the whole like Robert Zemeckis. Oh, this is gonna be revolutionary. We're gonna do like the CGI but it's gonna look realistic. They don't really look realistic. They look dead in the eyes.
Yeah.
Beowulf sucked. Polar Express sucked. Mars Needs Moms. I personally know the director very well, writer director, and it really hurt him. That movie being a bomb, but that movie sucked too. Like, these movies are not good.
Yeah.
Polar Express. Chocolate. Who wants chocolate? No, sorry, Tom Hanks. You jumped the shark for me. I don't like you anymore.
I'm not a fan, but he is Alan Silvestri is a Podcast After Dark alumni because he also scored Identity.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah,
Polar Express, Avengers Endgame. How about Back to the Future, Mac and Me?
Yeah, no, dude, he's a king. He's a legend.
Go put Forrest Gump up there. It's fine. I don't like the movie. Neither does Corey. But the soundtrack, the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, or what doesn't?
We all know
did he
it.
do Driving Miss Daisy also?
I believe so. I think so. And lastly, I want to just call out the cinematographer, Mauro Fiore. He did The Kingdom, The Island, Training Day. Shit. And by the way, The Kingdom is actually really fucking good, but Training Day is really fucking good.
These movies have a very distinct look to them, which gives the A-Team a very distinct look.
Yeah.
A-Team's not a perfect film. It's not. No. There's a lot of things that I actually don't enjoy about it, but overall I really enjoy. And I think those kind of films are the same way too. Like they look really cool, but there's a lot going on. He's really good at making things happen quickly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And A-Team is not a perfect movie, and we'll call out some spots. There's actually a couple scenes that I think literally could have omitted because there's no information comes from it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Especially at 2 hours long. But to answer your earlier question, Zach, I went on the Wikipedia page, and apparently the budget for this was $110 million, and it made box office $177 million. Now, I don't know how much of a hit that's considered because the budget of 110 does not count the marketing. And if I remember correctly, this had a massive marketing push. So I wouldn't be surprised if it had another $100 million worth of marketing behind it. So this probably is considered not a big hit.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it had a toy line. It did. Pretty cool looking figures, actually. They were 3 3/4, and I don't know. They go on eBay for a pretty penny, actually.
Interesting.
The van has light and sound effects, which is pretty badass, and it looks like the one from the TV show, so you can recreate the TV show. Yeah, if I was a kid, I'd be all over this, and you can get your very own Liam Neeson figure.
That we've always wanted.
You can get your own Lynch figure, and wow, yeah, pretty cool.
Nice. Well, speaking of pretty cool, you ready to jump into a pretty cool movie?
Yes, I am.
This court is rendering guilty verdicts for this Alpha Unit, or A-Team, and incarceration in maximum security facilities for 10 years.
We are innocent. Where's the plan, boss?
You actually sound worried.
Those men were your responsibility. Find them.
Hell no. I ain't stepping foot in any type of aircraft.
Man up! Get in the plane. We gotta finish the escape. Man up and get in there.
Putting the team back together.
So how do you plan on stopping them?
Don't sweat them.
This just got exciting. I'm BA. You're gonna be unconscious.
Just a heck of a beautiful place. Is it timeshare? I'd love to get in on it. Good morning.
He tried to escape by jump-starting an ambulance with a defibrillator.
Clear. My kind of guy. I told you the mission wasn't over.
What are we talking about? Clean records?
We were set up.
It's payback time. Oh, hell yeah, animal.
They are the best, and they specialize in the ridiculous.
Give me a minute, I'm good.
Light them up! Kill them all!
Give my team an hour. We're unbeatable.
Guys and gals, you didn't hear it. I cut it, but Zach just lost a lung during that trailer break right there. So, oh, buddy, I hope you can survive this review, my friend.
I will.
And so real quick, though, I do want to tee this up. This is one of those movies where, like, it's 20 minutes at the beginning before we even get the title card.
So it's funny about that this opening sequence. And side note, really quickly, Amy Allen was the female character on the A-Team, and there apparently was an action figure for her as well.
Is that the actress's name or is that the character's name?
No, that's the character's name.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So she was a part of the Soldiers on a Fortune, Living on the Edge. That was the tagline for the toys. But yeah, long intro. Bodie even commented, he's like, "Wow, this is a long opening." I go, "Yep." Kind of surprising. He didn't mind it. Neither did I.
But this is the team forming for the very first time, and it's kind of stylized and everything, but I think it's fun.
Yeah, me too.
The movie opens in Mexico. First, we see Colonel John Hannibal Smith being held captive by two corrupt federal police officers working for renegade General Javier Tuco.
I want to point him out, by the way.
Oh, I do too. Are we going to do it now? I was going to do it when we actually see who it is.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, save it for that because there's a Seinfeld connection.
Oh, okay.
One of the goons tries to kill Hannibal with his own gun, but the firing pin has been removed. They decide to let the dogs do the deed and leave him to be eaten. As the corrupt police officers are leaving the warehouse and the dogs are running towards Hannibal, he uses the firing pin from his gun, which he had hidden in his palm, to unlock his handcuffs. Then reinserts the pin into the gun. Then he cuffs the dogs together with their own collars, all in the matter of seconds. It's a really cool, he kind of like backs away into the shadows as the dogs come after him, and then they kind of yelp, and then they come running out of the shadows, handcuffed together, and he's like cocking his gun.
It's really funny. And it's not really fun. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool and funny. It's cool and funny. Mm-hmm. It's cunny.
You mentioned that, I think humor tone-wise, it's on par. I think the movie maybe pushes a little bit more into humor than the show did.
Yes.
But it's not like that much more. Like after, I watched a few episodes for our 80s Kids Unite last week, and I was surprised at how much humor they did put into the show too.
Yeah, no, they did, and it definitely follows the trope that Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of the Marvel movies do. This is now becoming like the thing, where we've got to have a certain amount of humor in these movies in order to offset the drama, so not to make it too scary for a younger audience.
You're 100% correct. Like, there's still stakes, people still die, but they kind of make jokes along the way, and some of them work, some of them don't. Hannibal then sets out on foot to complete his mission by following the two corrupt federal police officers courtesy of a tracker he planted in their pickup. Next, we see Bosco B.A. Baracus driving an orange Lamborghini through a town in Mexico as the police chase after him. He loses them and pulls the car into a chop shop. B.A. asks the guy who's running the shop where his girl is. He says she's fine in the next room, but B.A. can't quit the car stealing biz. If he does, they'll turn him over to the police, and B.A. will do 15 years in a Mexican prison. This pisses B.A. off, and he single-handedly beats down everyone in the chop shop. During the fight, we see that he has a tattoo on each hand, one that says pity, and the other one says fool. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was really funny. I like this whole sequence. It's fast-paced. To me, it's like, okay, now I don't need to see any of the Fast and Furious movies, because this is pretty much all it is.
You are 100% correct. And I did like, dude, when that one guy was kind of like doing the moves and then all he does is kick him. Like, you can tell the guy was on ropes, but it was really good because he flies back and smashes a window.
Really funny. And I apologize, Diallo. I have never seen a Fast and Furious movie, and you're right. I'm sure they're amazing and you love them, but I have no desire.
That's all right, Diallo. I'll watch them with you. You know that.
I'll watch them with you too. I just don't have a desire to.
After he kicks that dude, actually after he fights like the one guy that's kind of his friend, but you don't really get anything from their relationship. It doesn't really matter. But after the dust settles, B.A. smiles and says, "Have you missed me?" to who we think is his lady. But the camera pulls back and we see that it's the famous black A-Team van with the red stripe, which is a modified 1983 GMC Vandura, which I didn't know until I was doing these notes.
I mean, it's a badass van. That's all I got to say about it.
At this point, it's as iconic as KITT. It's as iconic as the General Lee, as the Ecto-1. Like, if you ever see, like, one of those art posters that has all these famous, like, TV show and movie cars, the A-Team van will absolutely be on it.
I agree.
And I never get tired of seeing it at, like, comic book conventions.
Nope, neither do I. That's why it kills me in about 10 minutes.
I know. It's the only thing I don't like about this, but in my head canon, BA gets another one, you know? Cut to a ranch in the middle of nowhere, and we see Templeton Faceman Peck is captured by General Tuco. Face is in a bathrobe and tied up inside multiple rubber tires. Of course, he's being mouthy as hell since he was caught in bed with Tuco's wife. We see General Tuco is played by Yul Vasquez, who Seinfeld fans will know as Bob. He's one half of the gay couple Bob and Cedric that intimidates Kramer and steals Elaine's armoire.
Ah, okay. Well, I know him from 3 great TV shows, at least the first seasons of all of them. Severance, The Outsider.
Oh, he's in Severance?
Yeah, he's in Severance. Not a huge role, but an important one. Russian Doll, which the first season of Russian Doll is really good. The second season's kind of meh. And then The Outsider, the Stephen King. I believe that was a Stephen King adapted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That if you've never seen The Outsider, that's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. It is really good and really scary.
That was just kind of like a one-off. Like, it wasn't multiple seasons. It was just one season, essentially.
Yeah, I wish it would be another season. I think he's like one of the main characters in that, actually, with Jason Bateman. He's in that as well. But yeah, it's phenomenal. So I wish they do another season, but probably won't.
That's kind of like how Shogun and won all those Emmys and everything, but like, and it's obviously it's an adaptation of the book, but they're like, we're not doing another season because we did the book. Like, we did everything that was in the book. Like, we'd have to make up something wholly new now, you know?
I mean, that's cool. Like, yeah. Do you ever rewatch TV shows outside of the ones you do podcasts for?
Oh, yeah.
Rewatch an entire series?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I mean, I love doing that. Myra and I have watched like Brooklyn Nine-Nine multiple times. Usually it's either comedies, like sitcoms, because they're kind of easy to absorb, or it's Star Wars shows. We're rewatching, for Christmas, my mom got me Andor season 1 on 4K. So we're rewatching that before season 2 drops in a couple months. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, if I like a show, I got no problem rewatching a show. I don't need to always be moving on to a new show.
You know what show I actually tried to rewatch, and then I was like, actually don't like it as much as I did the first time? Ted Lasso.
I've never seen it because we've never had Apple TV.
Oh, I mean, you should watch it when you finally get it or whatever.
Well, not
now. No. It is what the first time I watched it, I was blown away. But the second time, I'm like, but I get all the jokes already. I get all the, like, I already know what's coming. I don't know, just like, but I do want to watch. Diallo is going to be pissed, but Stranger Things. I want to watch all of those again before the new season drops.
I would too, but I don't think I'd have time. That last season, man, episodes were like an hour and 15 minutes. Hour and a half.
Though.
It was so good. The last season was so fucking good, man. I loved it. You know what show I'm not going to ever rewatch probably in its entirety? Will be Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. And I thought I would.
I'll rewatch the first maybe 3 seasons.
I still need to finish season 5.
And it's so sad because I can't really tell you that you have anything great waiting for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of figured that.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Sad but true. Dun, 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 dun. Brian's rolling over in his grave right now. What do you guys?
We've never actually talked to him. We don't know what he sounds like.
That's what he sounds like, right?
I think so.
Hello, mate. My name's Brian.
You know what's funny? Real quick. Back to Seinfeld, back to Yul Vasquez, Bob and Cedric. Cedric, the other half of that couple, he was Jambi from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh, and also the photographer in North Shore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was?
Yeah, he's the guy who takes the pictures, and
Interesting.
Lance Burkhart cheats.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that guy passed away a couple years ago.
Yes, he did. Yep, he did. All right, so back to the movie. General Tuco knows that Face is there to capture him and bring him across the border to the U.S. As Face is getting beat up by General Tuco, we see Hannibal running across open fields. He smiles when he sees B.A. driving the van down a dirt road in the distance. Cut to B.A. listening to music as he drives the van, minding his own business. He slams on his brakes as Hannibal stands in the middle of the road. This is a really cool, subtle effect because after the dust clears from B.A. slamming on his brakes, Hannibal's actually standing next to him in the driver's side door, and holding a gun to his head. They had to use 2 actors to do that, but it comes off because it almost seems like Hannibal moves at like lightning speed.
Yeah, it looks great.
He tells B.A. that he needs the van or his friend is going to die. B.A. calls Hannibal's bluff and says he's not going to kill him. Hannibal sighs and shoots B.A. in the right shoulder instead, barely grazing him. Hannibal gets into the passenger side and hands B.A. a rag to wrap his wound with. As he does, he notices B.A.'s Army Ranger tattoo. Hannibal shows him his, and the 2 men are now instant friends. And any ladies listening out there, yes, this is how fast men can become friends.
I will push back on that, though, and say if you are a bounty hunter in Raising Arizona and you happen to have a Woody Woodpecker-esque tattoo on your chest, and it's the same as the guy you're tracking down, there's not going to be a bond of friendship there. Because Nicolas Cage exposes pulls his shirt down. He's like, oh, somebody please choose Raising Arizona, by the way, for us to break down. We will be laughing our asses off to the bank. If not, that's going to be my summer pick. I'm saying it right now. Summer movie pick.
My favorite, the whole thing is when he fucking raises his fists up to do the punch, or whatever, and then he he scrapes him on the stucco ceiling and then looks down at his hands and screams. It's one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever.
Yeah, it is one of the greatest. That is by far my favorite Coen brother. My favorite Coen brother, my favorite brother movie. It's my favorite
the medicine's
by far.
Kicking in.
Oh, it is. My favorite Coen brother movie of all time is Raising Arizona, bar none.
Mine is Miller's Crossing.
No, it's Raising Arizona.
Okay, touche. You're right. Cut back to Face, about to be killed by General Tuco, when all of a sudden Hannibal and B.A. burst through the fence with the van. Chaos ensues, and Hannibal rescues the general's wife by throwing her in the back of the van. During the shootout, Face, still tied up in the rubber tires, gets knocked over and starts rolling down a hill. They eventually catch up to Face and put him in the van.
It's so funny.
It's good.
It's cheesy, but it's funny.
It is. As they are speeding away from Tuco and his men, Hannibal gives Face shit for trying to go after Tuco alone. It was a bad plan. Face says he's sorry he didn't have the Hannibal Smith how-to manual, but he had to move. Hannibal says, "That move snowballs, Face. You almost got yourself killed. You almost got me killed, and you almost got him killed." B.A. shows Face his Ranger's tattoo, and they shake hands. Face thanks B.A. and says he was trying to save Tuco's wife. Hannibal asks how, and Face says he hadn't thought that far ahead. So there's going to be an arc here for Face where he's going to actually step up and make a plan when Hannibal at the end of the movie kind of like has this, crisis of like, oh, I'm not the best. Like I didn't see this coming. Therefore I can't create plans anymore.
Right.
I feel like it's one of those things and BA is going to have this thing. They try to give the guys, like the characters, like these growth moments and everything. And this is kind of the stuff that I don't sort of care about because I feel like their characters are already perfectly established enough. I don't need to, but it is a movie and we do need to see characters grow in some way, shape, or form. But I feel like they just picked arbitrary, like, oh, we're going to make BA a pacifist at some point later in the movie, and then this is like, Face is going to have this desire to want to make the plans. And I'm like, did he have that in the TV show?
Yeah, I mean, it's really stretching it. I don't remember if he had that. I don't think he had that in the TV show, and I don't think you need it either. I think they could have kept it lighter and continued to do that. I also think they didn't need to they could have thrown away the whole thing that BA doesn't like to fly in planes. You know, being stuck in a tank in the later on in this movie, being stuck in the predicament he's stuck in when he wakes up from being drugged. That didn't have to be like, oh, I hate flying. Like they didn't have to do that cliche. They could have thrown that out.
Yeah.
And still kept the van.
Yeah.
We're not even there yet, though.
Yeah, I know, right? Cut to General Tuco rallying his men to go after the soon-to-be A-Team. As his men get in trucks, the general gets in a military helicopter. Cut back to Hannibal, BA, and Faceman at a small U.S. Veterans Hospital right outside the U.S.-Mexico border on the Mexican side. They turn Tuco's wife over to U.S. agents so she can be put into witness protection. One of the agents seems to have history with Hannibal and tells the colonel that the pilot he requested is somewhere in the hospital and he might be crazy. I do like this. I like when you have little side characters that you don't know their name. I don't even know the actor, but they kind of give them a little bit of something to do right here.
Yeah. You're like, well, I'll never see this person again, but that's okay.
But it's cool that you guys have history.
Yeah, yeah.
Before they go inside to look for Murdoch, BA complains to Hannibal about leaving the van, which he fought so hard to get back, behind in Mexico. Hannibal says they'll come back for her. And why didn't they just, they didn't have to destroy her. They could have just left it and then had the stinger at the end of the movie, them going back to Mexico and getting it.
Have someone steal it and then they catch the guys later on in the movie, you know?
Yeah. Or it's the same scene of him getting it back solo, but this time it's him with everyone and, his entire team getting the van back.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I know. It is literally my least favorite thing of the movie, and I feel like it comes from a producer's note. Like, you got to do something to shake things up, Yeah,
I feel like they've done this in another way in other movies.
Right. Yeah, God, I know. In the back of my head, I'm trying to think, I know we never saw the Ecto-1 explode or something, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking there's something where we were into the vehicle and it got destroyed in the movie or something.
Yeah, or there's always this thing of we've got to shatter the iconic thing from this iconic show, you know, like the crane kick in Karate Kid. We got to show it to be a joke to begin with. We all know it was a joke to begin with. Why do you got to make it into a joke? You know what I mean? There's things like that. You don't have to smash the van, but you're going to.
But to your point, then this movie kind of really strictly adheres to all the characters to the point where BA is afraid of flying, although they give a reason for that, and it's in this moment here soon. But it's they adhere so strictly to everything else that it felt like, you know what it felt like? It felt mean. It felt mean-spirited to destroy the van.
I blame the producers.
Me too. It's usually always the producers. Inside the hospital, Hannibal tells BA to get his wound stitched up while he looks for the pilot. As they split up, we see Murdoch come out of the room dressed like a doctor. Face stops him and asks him if he can stitch up his buddy's arm. Cut to the head of the hospital telling Hannibal just how crazy Murdoch is. Last week, he tried to escape by jump-starting an ambulance with a defibrillator, which was a really fun little stunt that we saw.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That is a fun little cutaway. Normally that would wind up on the what do you call it? The deleted scenes.
Oh yeah.
By the way, this movie had 10 producers.
Oof, there you go. And one of those 10 producers is the one that said destroy the van.
I'm going to say it was Ridley Scott because he kind of comes off like an asshole.
And I saw it at the beginning of the movie. This is like a Dune movie. So, whatever it's called, Platinum Dunes, which is Michael Bay's production company. And then it's also a Scott-free film, which is, Ridley Scott's production company. So, yeah. Of course, Hannibal smiles and says, my kind of guy. Cut to Murdoch stitching up the bullet wound Hannibal gave B.A. when he sees the Ranger tattoo. Murdoch remarks that he has one too. B.A. says, something's wrong with your eyes, man. just then a nurse walks in and asks Mr. Murdoch why he's out of the ward. B.A. looks concerned and Face asks, what do you mean ward? The nurse says that Murdoch isn't a doctor. He's a patient at the hospital. At the same time, Murdoch asks if it's Face that smells like gasoline. Face looks at the stitching and says to B.A., did you ask him to do a lightning bolt? B.A. says, is this fool crazy? Then he says to Face, you're on fire, man. Face looks at his arm and, yeah, it's on fire. He quickly puts it out. Murdoch, while holding a torch, gets excited and says, I knew it was you that smelled like gasoline. You Rangers, I like you. Faceman is not thrilled about this meeting. But, like, this is good cutting and everything. I like how BA's like, something wrong with your eyes, man. And, like, just Face is like, wait, what do you mean Ward? Like, I just like all these little, like, everyone's having these little conversations, you know?
Yeah, it's really funny. It's a great way to introduce Murdoch into the movie, too.
Yeah, he's, oh my God, he's so good. Outside, we see General Tuco arriving at the hospital with a small army. Back inside, Hannibal has to stop BA and Face from killing Murdoch. Hannibal pulls Murdoch aside and says, I'm told you're a hell of a chopper pilot. Murdoch says he's the best. BA says there's no way he's getting a chopper with that nut job. Murdoch tells them that he's a Ranger too, and Hannibal says that's good enough for him. He also says that Murdoch has been released into their care and his rank of captain has been reinstated. As General Tuco's men enter the hospital, Hannibal and his team follow Murdoch onto the roof of the building where a rescue helicopter is sitting idle. Face and BA reluctantly get on the chopper to take off also Hannibal, just as Tuco's men start shooting at them. As they take off, Face spots Tuco's helicopter firing at them. As Murdoch evades the bullets, he hits a large air conditioning unit with the landing skids, knocking it off the top of the hospital and crushing BA's beloved van. BA and Zak both scream, I'm gonna kill you, fool! And of course, Murdoch says something like, you shouldn't have been parking in a handicap zone. And then Face is just in the back saying to himself, this was a mistake.
Yeah, so funny. It's funny and sad at the same time.
I know. As they fly towards the border, Murdoch dodges bullets and gunfire from the general's helicopter. We even see that Tuco is impressed by the flip Murdoch does in the helicopter to evade a salvo of missiles. As General Tuco's gunship fires its heat seekers at the newly formed team, Murdoch climbs to a higher altitude, then cuts off the engines. The missiles explode in the air as the helicopter falls back to Earth. While this is happening, BA is knocked out of his seat and hanging out the helicopter door. Face grabs him and pulls him back inside. Murdoch turns the engines back on and they continue flying with General Tuco still in hot pursuit. BA is obviously traumatized by this brush with death. And, this is the moment that he, moving forward, is afraid of flying.
Understandably so.
He almost got ejected from the helicopter.
Yeah, it's scary.
Thank God fucking Face grabbed him, dude.
Right, I agree.
As they are flying to the U.S. border, Hannibal tells Face that being 2 steps ahead of your enemy isn't a plan. Stopping them before they can make their move, now that's a plan. Hannibal radios someone to track his signal. Then he radios General Tuco in the helicopter and tells him that he's engaged in unauthorized warfare with United States military personnel. Tuco shoots at him and yells that they engaged him first. Hannibal gives the general the same warning just as the 2 helicopters cross over the border into the U.S., but this time he adds, over United States airspace. General Tuco does one of those, whoa, things, as Murdoch's helicopter moves to the side and a U.S. fighter jet blows up General Tuco with its missiles. Almost everyone cheers as the music kicks in, but BA says he's never flying again. Face yells, I never should have doubted you, boss. The colonel takes out his cigar and says, there's a plan in everything, kid, and I love it when a plan comes together. The A-Team logo comes on the screen over the top of an image of all 4 of the teammates. Boom!
And the movie's over. No, it's great. It's a great opening. It's basically a mini episode.
It really is. I was like, that could have been a whole episode right there. Make it, add another 15 minutes onto it, and you have an hour-long episode of a TV show.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
I'm totally okay with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, because I think what happens next in Iraq, it's like a little sluggish to me.
Yes, I'm with you. I feel like it kind of slows down a little bit here, but then it kind of picks up because this isn't like the main story. First off, this was a prequel that we just watched, a 20-minute prequel. Then we're going to get into the main story, but it's more of like the setup for the main story.
Yeah. And this is ultimately a prequel as well to the TV series.
Exactly. So it's almost like a prequel on top of a prequel on top of a prequel. Would you like some more prequels with your prequels?
I would like some more prequel and with a dash of prequel and a splash of prequel. Doctor.
Cut to a military base in Iraq during the final days of the American withdrawal. Text pops up and that reads 8 years and 80 successful missions later. They did 10 missions a year.
I mean, They're working hard.
They're the fucking A-team.
Right.
We see Murdoch cooking steaks for Faceman and BA, but he's using gunpowder. I love this line. BA tells Murdoch to burn the hell out of his steak like it was damned.
I'm like, come on. This is a really over-the-top scene. It's so cartoonish.
It is, and I hate burnt steak or burnt meat at all, but I do like him saying he wants it burnt like it was damned.
Yeah, and he puts
antifreeze
on it too. Come on.
Well, and here's the thing, like I think Sharlto Copley, he acts crazy enough that we don't need to like also go so far over the top. Like in this whole beginning part, we see that one scene where he's like, I didn't even add it to the breakdown, but when he's doing the Braveheart thing,
yeah,
like, I didn't need that.
I didn't need it either. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I love it, but it's like in Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest breaks the fourth wall and like starts doing these random things. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm in a movie. Like this scene, I know I'm in a movie right here.
Right.
We see a helicopter land and Captain Sosa, Jennifer Beal, and her two lackeys, Gammons and Ravik, get off it and walk over to Face, who's sitting with his shirt off and his feet in a kid's pool. Now, Jennifer Beal's two lackeys, like I said, they're with her the entire time. Right. I don't really track much about them, but I kind of like, and also Lynch has kind of like his funny little lackeys too, and I kind of like these little side characters that get a little bit of stuff to do, but not a lot.
They do, but it's, I mean, again, you could kind of tighten it up to like an hour 45.
I know. You've heard us say it a million fucking times, but it's so fucking true. I'm a firm believer that pacing is everything in a film. And I'm telling you, I've broke this movie down. I've watched it like 5 times in the past week. There are scenes that I'm like, especially since I'm like transcribing shit, I'm like, oh, they've literally given this information the scene prior and they're re-giving it. You don't need to do that. And they did it a couple times in this movie. I'm like, why is this movie 2 hours? This is a hour and 45-minute movie that the editor made 2 hours long.
But we've got all these great actors.
Pacing.
No.
Pacing. Lee
and not
Pacey.
Pacey from Dawson's Creek. Where's the movie version of Dawson's Creek?
Well, I don't think there's going to be one since what's his name has cancer, but.
Oh yeah. Jeez. Wow.
I know. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Shit gets dark.
Sabatro!
You can tell that Sosa and Face have history. That history being they dated 3 years ago, but haven't talked since. As Colonel Hannibal returns from a mission, he's greeted by CIA agent Lynch, Patrick Wilson. Hannibal says he knew a company man named Lynch back in the first Desert Storm. Patrick Wilson says he comes from a long line of Lynches. Hannibal notes that maybe the reason nobody trusts the CIA is because nobody knows your real names. So everyone, there's like this weird joke that all the operatives in the CIA are kind of named Lynch, and then there will be a button to this joke at the end, and that button is John Hamm.
Was John Hamm in like rehab at this point, or right before it, or after?
I actually don't know much about John Hamm, like, in a personal life type of thing. I don't really know.
Oh, okay, because I know I think he was in. Yeah.
Do you think he was looking a little skinny here or something?
Well, no, he had some issues because like he was the leading man and so much shit, and then like suddenly he was just gone for a while, but he's back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I always liked John Hamm. I mean, I watched Mad Men. I love Mad Men.
I love him. He's great in the new season of Fargo. He's super dark in that.
Oh, yes, I want to watch that one. I've heard that was really good.
Might not want to with our current political climate. It might put your blood pressure into the highest degree.
Yeah, I'm holding on by string, guys and gals. It's been a rough couple days, but yeah. So thank you for that warning. Trigger warning. Maybe.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, no one knows their real names. Hannibal asks what he can do for this CIA agent Lynch. Lynch says, "I need you to help stop one of Saddam's former flunkies from stealing over $1 billion in the next 30 hours. Apparently, the only mint outside of the U.S. capable of printing U.S. dollars belonged to the Shah of Iran, and it went missing during the Iran-Iraq War. Hannibal reminds him that it was retrieved during Desert Storm. Lynch says that they didn't get the engraving plates, and now they've rebuilt the mint and are printing billions of dollars in unbacked American currency. Hannibal asks how they plan to move the plates and the money out of Baghdad. Lynch says armored convoy. So how do you plan on stopping them? Cut back to Sosa talking to Face. She asks him if he knows anything about the plates. Lynch just talked to Hannibal about, but they're talking to them sort of separately, and they're not together. Sosa and Lynch are not together.
Yeah.
And in fact, they don't even know each other. Sosa tells Face to not make a play for the plates because they are her responsibility and it'll be her ass. She tells him to make sure his beloved Colonel Smith gets the memo. As Sosa goes to leave, Face says, you never came back. I always thought you were going to come back. Sosa says, well, this is me coming back. As she walks away from Face and Murdoch, she tells her 2 lackeys to shadow Face and the rest of the team. If anyone can pull this off, they can. Does Sosa technically want the A-team to get the plates, or does she ultimately not want them to?
I mean,
at this point in the movie.
This scene was very confusing to me because it's happening so fast, and in one hand you have 2 characters saying, one storyline going, we want you to get these plates. The other storyline going, don't get these plates. Don't put your hands on these plates. But why is she telling him that? He's not the one in charge of the team. Like, why does she go directly to him? I don't know. To me, it feels a little like forced,
Yeah.
Because in my mind I'm going, she's telling him about this because she wants him to go get it.
That's what I was thinking, but
otherwise you wouldn't tell him about it.
Right, because it's like he might not have known about him to begin with, and now he knows about him.
Yeah, I don't want you to go in that room because there's a chocolate chip cookie in there.
Well, I didn't know that room existed, but now I know that there's a chocolate chip cookie in there.
So
I'm definitely going to go.
And don't go in there because it's the best cookie. I do? Yeah, you do.
And as you walk away, he's the best person to go get that cookie. I hope he doesn't go get that cookie.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And actually, there's going to be a continuation of this conversation in 2 seconds after we talk about Morrison and what he says to Hannibal.
Right.
Cut to Hannibal talking to General Morrison, Gerald McRaney, about retrieving the plates. Lynch is also in the tent. Morrison says that the mercenary group called Black Forest, led by Brock Pike, who's Brian Bloom, will retrieve the plates because the army has been ordered to stay out of Baghdad. Hannibal says Black Forest and Pike are goons and will cause an international incident. Lynch asks that the general find Hannibal's team a little wiggle room. Morrison looks at him and says, I knew another Lynch, a CIA stooge, stationed in Laos in 1968. This Lynch says, no relation. Then he says, I'm doing a Kabul in 2 hours, then back here in 48. I'm assuming we're green to go. Notify me otherwise. As Lynch leaves the tent, Morrison says, he's wearing body armor in the HQ. And he does this really cool pause, and he goes,
yeah.
And that should tell you everything you need to know about the CIA.
Right.
Outside, Sosa spots Lynch leaving the general's tent. Back inside, I think it seems like it's a little bit of a time jump, but back inside, Hannibal and Morrison are sharing a drink and a cigar. Hannibal says that he and his team can get the job done minus the bloodshed. Now, and here's my notes. Okay, here's my notes. Cut to Hannibal and B.A. walking through the base. Hannibal tells B.A. that they are extending their stay for a little bit longer. So what I cut out was there's a sentence at the end, like Morrison says, so Hannibal says, like, I can get the job done without bloodshed. Morrison's like, look, I'm not gonna beg you, or this is me begging. Don't go down this path. Don't do this. So it's like, and then the scene ends with Morrison telling Hannibal not to do this. But then the next scene and moving forward, this is sanctioned by Morrison. So, like, first off, why then even have that scene of Hannibal and Morrison sharing a drink? And even I cut the dialogue that was clearly bullshit.
I mean, good question. It could be withdrawn.
Right? And like,
yes.
and I'm not kidding. And Rob, I'm sorry. because I know we talk about this all the time, but I'm breaking this movie down and I omit a lot of stuff from it because it's redundant or it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I still fucking love this movie, but it's not the tightest fucking script in the world.
No, this, I feel like after the kick-ass intro, the first like 15, 20 minutes of this movie, after that, really drag.
Yeah.
But then it picks up.
No, I'm fucking with you. Because I cut a lot of these little gratuitous scenes. Like, I don't even mention the Braveheart thing, but we're talking about it, but I don't even mention it in my breakdown,
Right.
So anyway, so cut to Hannibal, talking to BA. And the first time I watched this movie, I'm like, okay, they're doing it on their own. You know what I mean? But no, that's not the fucking case, because they run into Pike and his Black Force goons. Pike says Hannibal and his grunts are stealing his gigs. He doesn't like that. Hannibal says, I figured you Black Force guys would be busy installing a dictatorship or overthrowing a democracy somewhere. Pike laughs and says, it's still the weekend. That's 9 to 5 stuff, Pops. Hannibal gets in Pike's face and says, this is Morrison's base. Bug out of my op. So that's it. Like Morrison. So even though we didn't see it, what we saw was Morrison asking Hannibal not to do this.
Right.
But what they cut was then at the end of that drink that they had together, Morrison gives Hannibal the op.
Right.
So don't show us him saying don't do it and then cut to Hannibal doing it, because that tells the viewer that Hannibal's going like outside of his purview sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, I hated that for some reason. Like, it really, it pissed me. You know why it pissed me off? Because it confused me the first time I watched it. Because I was like, okay, so Hannibal's working on his own. And I was like, no, he's not, though.
Yeah.
It was like an unnecessary confusion.
Yeah, it is.
Zach's like, there's nothing else I can add to it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Zach's like, I'm trying to save my voice here, buddy. Hey everybody, Corey here. I just wanted to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday, where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
And now, back to the show. Cut to Hannibal and the A-Team about to plan their mission. There's a little chit-chat going on at first, though. Face thinks there's a reason Sosa came back into his life right now, but Hannibal tells him to forget about her. B.A. says he won't get into a helicopter or any other type of aircraft. He now has a fear of flying thanks to Murdoch's crazy piloting 8 years ago. Murdoch says, are you ever going to let me live that down? Mexico was a long time ago and I saved your life. B.A. says, I was an airborne ranger before I met you. 263 jumps, and one helicopter ride with you screws it up. Airborne ranger with a fear of flying, like a punk. So, I mean, I do like that they made the fear of flying connected to Murdoch, but it still feels like they said, like, there was a chalkboard with, like, or like checks. Like, we have to have BA afraid of flying. How do we work that in?
I just I think you don't include that, the fear of flying. You could do other things,
Because it doesn't really, like, in the show, it'd always sort of be a joke about how they were going to knock him out, how they're going to feed him the drugs, right? To, like, knock him out type of thing.
Or they could have had a fear of flying before he got in the helicopter. You're like, guys, I don't want to do this. And then
Yeah. But here, they don't even, like, sort of make a joke out of it. Like, at some point, he's just like, give me the drugs so I can just go to sleep. And it's like, that was the least, if you're going to keep the fear of flying, then at least keep the whole thing about him not wanting to be knocked out either.
Right.
Yeah. Hannibal reminds B.A. that nobody leaves the truck once they take it over. The colonel then hands everyone a printout of the plan. Staging, movement, action plan. Everyone looks over the details and Face says, this is nuts, boss. Hannibal smiles and says, it gets better. Cue the montage.
So Bodhi really enjoyed these montages because the montage takes place while the scene is actually taking place. So it's not like, the discussion and then the scene. It's actually coinciding at the same time.
Me and Bodhi are simpatico on that. I very much enjoy, like, it kind of cuts back to the planning phase and he says what's going to happen and you see it happen. That made for a bitch to break down, though, in the breakdown, so I kind of just kept things separate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I thought that was cool. And who doesn't love a montage, right?
Come on.
Rocky 3, right? Or no, Rocky 4.
Yeah. It's the best part.
Yeah.
Best one.
Yeah,
Best one.
First, the team has to gather supplies. BA has to find a piece of contoured metal to make a skid plate, and Murdoch needs to grab a car battery. They take both from Pike's Black Forest truck. Of course, hilarity ensues. Next, Faceman is tasked with getting press credentials from the media tent. Of course, he flirts with a sexy French reporter to get them. At the same time, Murdoch grabs a news camera. They also need lots of airbags, which they steal from cars and trucks around the base, and a high-powered magnet, which BA makes. Hannibal says he'll pick up the rest of the stuff, which means he steals it from the Black Forest tent. The prep montage ends with Hannibal and the boys having a drink with General Morrison. He tells them to give him hell tomorrow. And that was during this montage here is when the, Braveheart thing happens. Like, guys and gals, if you haven't seen the movie, watch it. There's a lot of gags and jokes and visual things that I'm just not going to even put into this breakdown, because then this breakdown will be like fucking 5 hours long.
Right. Thank you.
I know. And that was, I made that decision even before I knew that Zach was getting over his sickness.
The sickness.
Get up down with the sickness. Oh, Now we see the execution of Hannibal's plan. As it unfolds, the movie cuts back and forth between Hannibal explaining the plan to his team the night before and what actually happens. So I kind of cut that out. Faceman's entry is under a hotel on the convoy's route. He uses his press credentials to gain access to the building, then assembles the magnet which he has hidden in the TV camera and enters the sewers below. Face makes his way through the sewers and comes to a manhole. He removes the cover and uses the high-powered magnet to attach himself under the truck transporting the money and plates as it drives over. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Once he's under the semi, he throws metal spikes to take out the trucks behind him. Now it's BA's turn. He rides his motorcycle at the convoy and flips it on its side as he jumps off. The momentum launches BA onto the semi while the bike explodes and takes out the other truck in the back of the convoy. He then proceeds to take out almost everyone on the semi and ends up driving it. Hannibal says he'll take out any stragglers, and we see him come in on a zip line, and he takes out a soldier that's shooting at BA in the cab. Hannibal then helps Face onto the back of the moving semi. Back in the planning tent, Face asks how they're going to get the truck out of Baghdad. Hannibal has a plan for that too. Cut back to the mission, and he tells BA to make a right at an intersection and head for the river. Hannibal and Face start attaching airbags to the side of the container the semi is carrying. As they do this, the first car in the convoy turns around and starts chasing the semi and shooting at it. After Hannibal and Face attach all the airbags using bolt guns, BA exits the cab while the truck is still driving at full speed and gets into the container. The semi then blows through some barriers and signs, telling them that the road ahead is out, and flies through the air and into the river. As it does, the container detaches from the bed and the airbags deploy, keeping it afloat. As the last car of the convoy gets to the end of the road, Murdoch comes flying in with an Osprey helicopter and obliterates it with its Gatling guns. Murdoch then lifts the container out of the water and flies away with them all, much to BA's protest. So, Zach, the execution of the plan, how did you think, was this action scene, did things pick up a little bit for you here?
Oh, yeah. Once this kicks in, the whole tone of the movie is 10 times better. Just automatically. Just didn't need those 10 minutes earlier. Just didn't need them at all. Just, could have broken it down to 2 minutes. Something everyone needs to also realize is people get obliterated in this film. A lot of people. So as happy-go-lucky as this movie is, this is kind of a harken back to the 80s where just in early 90s where things just get people get destroyed. I'm kind of surprised people didn't talk about that when this movie came out, because when Die Hard came out, they're like, do you know how many bullets were used in the movie Die Hard Part 2? And, getting all butthurt about that. People are just decimated in this movie in many scenes. This one in particular.
Yeah, when Murdoch opens fire on that pickup truck, I mean, it melts into fire, essentially.
I mean, yeah, and those people are not, flying away in parachutes like in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, no,
it's not
they're
happening.
Gone.
No.
That is a closed casket right there.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. CG or not, they're all dead.
Yeah, he's dead. She's dead. They're all dead. Back at the base, we see General Morrison driving to greet the A-Team as the Osprey lowers the container into the base. There's a funny scene of Face, Hannibal, and Murdoch scared of letting BA out of the back of the shipping container, but Murdoch calms the angry Ranger with the promise of his favorite food.
Toast points.
It works, but the celebration is cut short when General Morrison's Humvee gets blown up right in front of Hannibal and his men. As they look around in disbelief, Hannibal sees Pike and his men running from the container while carrying the briefcase. The colonel yells, "Contact! Rear!" and the A-Team opens fire. As they run after the Black Forest goons, the container holding all the illegal currency explodes and sends the 4 men flying back. Hannibal Face, BA, and Murdoch are arrested by Sosa and her team, now that Morrison, the only person who knew about the mission, is dead. This is a fun little thing. And real quick, dude, this is around the time where like I really enjoy action movies at this point, like in 2010, because now everyone like and it's very, you can tell Bradley Cooper, but everyone is holding their guns properly now and like actually doing like proper like positioning and stuff like that.
You don't like it sideways?
Yes, they're holding it sideways.
I also too, so I was genuinely surprised by the explosion of the general getting blown up, and Black Watch or Black
Forest, which is basically Black water.
Yeah, it's literally black water, but Doobie Brothers has the copyright agreement on it, the Black Water. Oh, Black Water, keep on moving. Rolling. We're gonna come into your town and take it over for the government. So it's kind of like a hee kind of thing. If you didn't know who Brian Bloom was, he would be a super generic villain. Super generic in 2010.
Yeah.
No, when's the last time you saw that guy playing a villain? Like, that's another interesting thing about this too, is that the villains in this are not like, unless you know, like we do, who they are, they're not that memorable. Like, it's not like Alan Rickman in Die Hard,
right,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or William Sadler, or whatever. Like, which is totally fine. But it's also interesting too, because this movie isn't really about the villains. It's about the Mission Impossible chase,
Yeah, exactly. And Brian Bloom has some cool shit to do later, especially at that that bank, the bank heist type of thing.
He's great, but again,
but at the same time, like it didn't make me like want to go watch more of Brian Bloom. It's he does a great job and he does what needs to be done. But I think maybe this movie might have done a little bit better if someone like some people you just mentioned, but like a bit higher profile villain in this.
I mean, like if Val Kilmer was still, had his wits about him, or Nicolas Cage, or like
someone strong.
At that time. In 2010, Nicolas Cage was making schlocky crap movies. He hadn't made his comeback. He could easily play the villain in this. Actually, that would be kind of badass to see Nicolas Cage playing a supporting character in a movie.
Yeah. And you watched Longlegs on the plane, right?
Longlegs is terrific.
Yeah, I'm dying to see it. I mean, I know it's Nicolas Cage. Like, that kind of got spoiled, a long time ago, but I'm dying to watch it though.
I guess there's another movie coming out later this year, and people have said, "Oh, it's either like by the same people that did Longlegs or the same energy around it that Longlegs had." And I'm like, sign me up. I don't know what it is, but
well, Osgood Perkins is he's doing another movie's coming out soon.
Oh, so. I think it's that black cat or the monkey or whatever.
Oh yeah, Monkey Shines, right? Stephen King. Yeah,
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, me too.
I did see the first like 7 minutes of the movie. It looks bonkers wild. So, have you seen that?
I haven't seen the first 7 minutes, but I saw the trailer for it, and it looks awesome. It's the cover, the monkey, the toy monkey, right?
Yeah.
That's a Stephen King novella, I believe, or a short story or something.
It is. The director, he sent out, because I'm sure it's a February movie, and
things usually go to the theaters to die in February, but we live in unprecedented times, so
this woman, she hears a weird sound in the basement, and she goes down the stairs, and then she falls through the floor into a box of fishing hooks.
Oh God, no!
Yeah, and then she comes back upstairs, and she's pulling the fishing hooks out of her face, and then she goes to the stove to make some tea, and the burner's not working, and she gets right up to the burner to check it, and the burner just blasts flame in her face, and then she runs out of her house. Her face is on fire, and she trips, and she falls right into her mailbox, but the mailbox spike is sticking straight out, so she goes right into, and that's the way the movie, and the director's like, if you think this is wild, wait till you see the rest of the movie.
It's like Final Destination shit, man. That's awesome.
But anyways, back to Brian Bloom. Yeah, he's really good. But again, it screams Walker Texas Ranger villain. It screams CBS,
right? Like a
NCIS.
Television show villain. Yeah.
Yeah. Have David Caruso play the villain, like someone kind of random, but
is a movie
actor.
Star,
like a movie star, but someone you wouldn't expect. Shoot,
Yeah.
I don't know. Who else would you cast in the main villain lead? Because Patrick Wilson is the perfect Lynch. He's great. And he's an up and coming actor at this point. So.
He is. And he's kind of technically the villain of the movie, but you don't really sort of know it until the end of the film. And he never really, it's not like he's doing villainy stuff until around a little bit close to the third act, so.
But he's like the same villain. He's not going to get killed.
Right.
Who's the guy that's going to get killed? Who's the guy that you want to see blow up?
Right. Exactly.
Is it Brian Bloom? I don't think it's Brian Bloom.
Yeah. No, he does a great job, but it does come off a little bit like a TV villain type of thing. Even though he's badass during that one scene at the end.
Yeah. He's not bad. I like him, but I'm just saying, it would have been nice to see. They blew all their money on Bradley Cooper and Liam Neeson.
That's the thing. I think what it all distills down to is that you have these mega names stacked in the front, and we all know that the villain has to be more powerful than the main characters because they have to be able to persevere, and he doesn't feel like he's on the same level as they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Da, da, da. Cut to a military tribunal, and we see Captain Sosa being demoted to first lieutenant since the recovery of the plates was her responsibility, and she ultimately lost them. Now we see the A-Team defending their actions to a military court-martial. But again, since it was a covert mission that only the now-deceased General Morrison knew about, they are pretty much screwed. Face asks Hannibal if this is a part of the plan because he doesn't see the escape hatch. Hannibal tells his men that the mission isn't over and they're going to find Pike and the plates and clear their name. Since Face, Murdoch, and B.A. all request to be tried with Hannibal, they all get the same sentence. They are dishonorably discharged and have to do 10 years in separate maximum security prisons. Sosa watches the verdict. Cut to 6 months later, and a guard brings Hannibal to meet with Lynch in a common area of the prison. They are the only two people there. Hannibal remarks that the CIA man seems pretty relaxed for there being so many cameras watching them. Lynch says they seem to be having technical difficulties at the moment. Lynch says he's been waiting 6 months for Hannibal and his men to burst out of prison and lead him to the plates. Lynch also says everyone was sure, they were working with Pike, but not him. Hannibal says he knows where Pike is, but Lynch doesn't believe him. The CIA stooge pulls out a blurry black and white photo of Pike and an unknown Arab man from a CCTV camera somewhere in Europe. Hannibal, who brought a little knapsack to the meeting, which I guess you can have those in prison, I don't know, pulls out the same picture.
I guess.
Right? I know.
That was a little oh, okay.
I wish it was just under his shirt. I wish he pulled it out from under his shirt.
It's a full-on file.
Yeah, he's got a knapsack with files in it. It's like they let you keep that in maximum security? Especially when everyone knows you're like a MacGyver kind of guy,
Yeah.
And anyways, it's so he could have this moment where he pulls out the same picture, but it's like, crystal clear and sharp. He says it was taken in Frankfurt, Germany. Lynch asks how he got that, and this is fucking cool. Hannibal says, "Time, Lynch. Give me a minute and I'm good. If I've got an hour, I'm great. You give me 6 months, I'm unbeatable." Then he asks about the unknown Arab man. But what's funny, Zach, as much as, we give shit about the pacing, about these unnecessary scenes and dialogue, but then this movie, gives us this dialogue right here. And you're like, that's awesome.
Again, I think the only reason why we're being critical is because it's a mainstream film. If this was like low budget, we wouldn't be goofing on it as much, but it makes it more enjoyable to goof on it because thank you, Brian, for letting us goof on your movie. If you would like for us to goof on your film and be a producer of the show
and be a Baracus producer.
Yes. So and we won't make you fall out of a helicopter. Sign up to patreon.com/podcastingafterdark, patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. Sign up today. We'll break down the movie you want us to break down and we'll do it honestly. Because you want that from us.
That's right. That's a good point, buddy. I like that. And we'll do it honestly. Lynch doesn't know, but he thinks that the unknown Arab man is a mastermind behind the whole thing. Honestly, man, it's so clear as day when you sort of know what the twist is going to be. But I didn't the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah. They get down to brass tacks. Hannibal says he knows Lynch and the boys at Langley want their own private printing press. That's as far as their patriotism goes. He'll help them get the plates as long as their names are cleared and their ranks are reinstated once he does. Lynch says he can't legally get Hannibal and his men out of prison, though. The ex-colonel says he just needs Lynch to do one thing. Get him an infused Cuban cigar with 5 cc's of tetrodotoxin, but the dosage has to be absolutely perfect for this to work. Now we see Hannibal's plan in action. He gets a book delivered to his cell. Hidden inside that book is the cigar he asked for. He smokes it, and it looks like he has a heart attack. Hannibal's body is taken to the crematorium, where he wakes up just as the flames start shooting out of the nozzles. He kicks them to redirect the fire and then rolls down the chute where the ashes fall. He stands up, covered in sweat and ash, and scares the doctor attending the cremation. That was kind of funny, though.
I thought it was hilarious. This was like a really great moment. And like this whole sequence of how they all get out, it's fantastic.
But I love that one doctor like doing karate and shit, or whatever.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And then he's like standing there like covered in like soot and sweat. He's like, "So Satan walks into a bar," and the guy just faints. I was like, that was good.
So good. So good.
Cut to Face Man living his best life in prison. He's used his charm to acquire all kinds of creature comforts for himself, including an enclosed tanning booth. Now, before we get to the tanning booth, we see a lot of other stuff that's, like one of the female guards. It's him and her hooking up. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like, sexual innuendo with Face through this whole thing.
Yeah.
With every character. So Bodhi often was like, hey, yo, this is sus. Those moments.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. Don't worry. It won't go that dark.
It won't go that dark. And one day you will like these parts of the movie.
Yeah. And you'll be like, don't watch this with me, Dad.
Oh God! Just as long as Bodhi doesn't have to watch a single white female with you or hand the rock secreto with you when he's like 13 years old, sitting next to you in a dark theater. That was literally the most awkward situation in my entire life with my dad.
If you guys only knew what Corey just cut out. Use your imaginations. It involves Rebecca de Mornay and Ernie Hudson.
Oh, man. I haven't seen that movie in forever, but I loved it for reasons. A couple reasons.
Back to tanning salons.
Back to tanning salons. Cut to Sosa talking to her director about Hannibal's escape. So, Zach, I didn't really track her director or the director of the DOD, I guess is who it is, but Henry Cerny?
Yeah, he's he's really good at playing like political characters. He's in the Mission Impossible movies, Clear and Present Danger. I think he's like one of the villain politicians in Clear and Present Danger.
Okay.
Anyways, he's recognizable. Big name. Big name.
He's not in this movie a lot. He's only in it for like a couple of moments.
No, it's weird. And with John Hamm too, you're like, am I supposed to care that John Hamm is in this? Am I supposed to care?
John Hamm seems a bit like cameo, like on purpose. This guy here seems like you could have probably spent a little bit less money on this guy and just used another actor because he doesn't have anything to do in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe cut down on that $110K, you know?
Yeah. Have David Patrick Kelly play the main villain.
Oh my God, there you go, dude.
Just because he's
so
old
in
doesn't...
2010, like, would that work in 2010? I know he'd be great in, like, you know, the Crow era, mid-90s, but, well, he's not that old in 2010, though.
I mean, make him look taller than he actually is, a little bit taller, but, you know, he's like the grizzled guy. Like, Gerald McCraney and him are probably the same age, so what?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, he's fucking Diesel as T-Bird, you know, so...
That would have been amazing. It would have been really cool. And
like if it was that age, you know, if it was T-Bird age, but in 2010, you know.
Why not?
Yeah. Give him some more work. We love him.
Brian Bloom is crying right now.
I know. We love Brian Bloom is great. He's actually really good in this. It's just...
Stop making fun of my hair. Stop making fun of the fact that I am better off camera.
We need a bigger name. We just need a bigger name.
No offense, Brian Bloom.
Yeah. With the budget that this movie has, we need, and with the star-packed front end of it. Of
Michael
the
Madsen. Huh? Michael Madsen. Put
dude,
Michael Madsen in that role. There you go.
Dude. Oh, Michael Madsen. I still think you had it accurate at the beginning. Tom Sizemore, if this was like prime Tom Sizemore time, this would 100% have been a Tom Sizemore role.
Totally.
Yeah. I miss that dude.
Brian Bloom.
Bro, the Relic.
Off.
The Relic, my man.
Yeah, where's the Relic on Blu-ray?
Or 4K. Like, I thought Kino was supposed to put it out. Like, I thought we heard about like 2 years ago.
No, just put a Blu-ray out because I don't have a 4K player yet.
Oh, Zach, just get a 4K player. Oh, Zach.
Hey, patrons, buy me a 4K.
Oh, and real quick, kind of glossed over because we were talking about the actor, but Sosa, you know, she wants to go after Hannibal. She wants to sort of redeem herself and get the plates back and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's a MacGuffin. It doesn't matter.
No.
What matters is getting to the end where they become the A-Team.
You're 100% correct. And guys and gals, this movie is a perfect example of what a MacGuffin means in a movie. The plates in this movie are the MacGuffin. Just like the Maltese Falcon is the MacGuffin of that movie.
Yeah, and I didn't say a McMuffin, even though I totally could eat a McMuffin right now.
I could crush a McMuffin right about now.
I haven't had McDonald's in forever, 20, 30 years, but man, McMuffin with a hash brown.
Oh. Bro, here's the thing. Go get the Trader Joe's frozen hash browns.
Oh, we do.
They are 100% exactly the same as McDonald's hash browns.
And we air fry them. If you air fry it for 17 minutes on 400, perfect.
So good. So guys and gals, life hack. You don't ever need to buy hash browns from McDonald's because Trader Joe's hash browns are the same thing.
Air fry it.
Yep.
And you don't feel as guilty.
Yeah, it's better. It's infinitely better for you than fucking McDonald's is. So
yeah, and then you air fry it and you feel better too.
There you go. Air fried these nuts. Back in prison, we see Face doing pull-ups in his tanning booth when all of a sudden someone locks the door from the outside and transports the booth away from the facility. A short time later, Hannibal opens the door and looks at Face and says, "You are really tan." And it kind of looks like they're sort of like on a road in the the Florida marshes. Yeah, like out there. Yeah. Cut to Sosa and her team looking for evidence of who helped Hannibal escape prison. Unfortunately, all the logs for that day have been removed, and when they check the camera footage, all the images are scrambled. Lynch used a portable jammer to make himself invisible on camera. Sosa says, "This sounds crazy, but I think the CIA broke Hannibal out of prison." Back on the side of the road, Hannibal is filling face in on what's going on. By the way, Bradley Cooper is shirtless here, and my note is, this is peak Bradley Cooper, and I forgot how much of a man crush I had on him.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, well, that's what a trainer will do for you.
And steroids, because it's the Marvel juice. Like, it's fucking, it's just steroids, man.
So don't y'all get your hopes up.
Yeah, you're never going to look like Thor or any of them unless you fucking take steroids.
Right.
Sad but true.
Sad but true. Or unless you're me.
But Zach, real quick, I just said, like, my sentence is, back on the side of the road, Hannibal is filling face in on what's going on. This is, again, another moment where we get the same dialogue, like, or they'll tell us something we already see or what we already know. And it's just like, it actually happens a lot in this movie.
It does. It's one of the things that holds it back from being, like, really, really great. I'm also identifying, too, that this movie is basically 4 30 to 40-minute episodes in one movie.
I've been thinking about this for days. I'm glad you brought it up, because this movie does feel like it's in chunks. Obviously, the easy one is that first 20 minutes before the A-Team logo. But then you got the chunk that happens before they go to prison. Then you got this chunk. Then you got another chunk, and then you got the final chunk. It's like it's so perfectly like truncated and broken up.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It could actually be broken into a TV show.
Yeah.
And guys and gals, like, without the eye candy of, shirtless Bradley Cooper or action happening or funny things happening, the dialogue and the redundancy is more noticeable when we're just basically talking about the movie. You don't notice some of these things because you're wowed by all the bells and whistles that are happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Zach and I are both shirted right now, and I do not look like Bradley Cooper. I look like Bradley Cooper if he had bitch tits and a belly. Zach's closer to Bradley Cooper, but he's just a little bit smaller because he hasn't taken the fucking steroids.
Yeah, right. I'm a lean, mean, hunky machine.
Lean, mean, rocket raccoon machine.
Yes. When I don't shave my back, I'm a rocket raccoon.
Oh my God. I don't have any hair on my back.
I get so hairy I have to shave my whole back. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yikes. Cut to a prisoner transport truck driving through Lake Tahoe. We see B.A. quietly sitting inside the truck and reading a book about tolerance and compassion.
I appreciate this. This is funny.
A pickup truck drives up to the side of the prisoner transport, and B.A. notices that the back of the plates of the pickup truck says emergency. And then the front of the plate says, exit now. B.A. puts it together, and he goes right for the back door of the moving vehicle. The pickup truck spins around, and we see Hannibal in the bed of the truck holding a rocket-propelled grappling hook. He fires it, and the missile hooks into the door. B.A. grabs the door handle as the door is ripped from the vehicle, and they both go flying. Cut back to Sosa, leaving Hannibal's prison, and she gets a call that Face and B.A. have escaped. Murdoch is the only one left, and he's in Germany. Why would they put him in Germany?
Yeah, why of all places?
Because that's where they're going to have to be for Frankfurt and all this kind of stuff. Because plot reasons. But realistically, why would they have an army base in a psychiatric army base in Germany that they would send him to?
Is that a maximum security psychiatric ward?
Yeah, okay. Maybe it's the only one or something. The only army issued one or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
This
was funny though. This scene is funny.
Yeah, it is.
And then like not knowing what's gonna happen next. I'm like, and sitting with Bodhi, I'm like, please let this not be nude. Please let this not be a nude scene. Please let this not be a nude scene. Please let this not be a nude scene. It's not a nude scene.
Well, and just to let everyone know, this movie's PG-13. So
yeah, and it's gratuitous violence.
Yeah,
but like and sexual innuendo, but that's about it.
But no blood packets. Like there's no squibs or anything in this.
No, it's the best kind of violence. It's the violence that you see and you go, oh, I want to do that.
I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Real quick, before we get to Murdoch, we have a little scene here. Cut to a small diner outside of Lake Tahoe. Face and Hannibal are discussing how Hannibal knew the door would hold BA's weight. This little exchange is important because it shows that Hannibal is more of a mentor to Face than just his CO.
Right.
While they're chatting at the booth, BA takes out a pair of clippers and cuts his hair in the bathroom. He comes out and sits with Face and Hannibal, but something is off about BA. He didn't cut his hair into a mohawk. And there's something else, too. BA has taken an anti-violence vow. He's with them, but he can't kill for them. His conscience won't let him. And yeah, this is, everybody's got, well, I guess Murdoch doesn't really have anything because he's just crazy. But everyone's got like this business that they have to do in this movie, you know, something they have to overcome. And this is BA's. He's got to find his violence back. I hate it.
Yeah, it's cliche.
I don't keep him being afraid of flying in this. Fucking take everything out about him being a pacifist because it doesn't affect the story. He still does what needs to be done. It just has one moment with Pike later that it's just kind of like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That scene is over the top, but
yes, absolutely. Time to free the last member of the A-Team, crazy-ass Murdoch, who just happens to be in a military psychiatric hospital in Germany, like we said. While he's sitting in the common area, Murdoch gets a package from Annabelle Smith. Annabelle. Obviously, it's on purpose because he quickly opens because he figures it out. He's like, oh, okay.
I'm not laughing.
I know. It's not funny. He quickly
not
opens.
Not even coughing up my lung.
Save it. Save your lung. Inside the package, he finds a DVD and enough 3D glasses for everyone. Murdoch quickly organizes a viewing party just as Sosa and her men arrive at the hospital. Him and his fellow patients settle in to watch the 3D movie by putting their glasses on. Sosa enters the viewing room and finds Murdoch, but the pilot acts like he's mentally gone. The movie starts playing, and it's a Humvee driving right towards the camera. Did you notice this? As the original A-Team theme song plays.
Yeah. It's really funny. Like, all of these moments are so cartoonish and so over the top, but that's the best part of this movie. When it's totally
when it doesn't take
over
itself
the top.
seriously.
Yeah, when it's not like all this extra dialogue of trying to figure out who, what, when, how, why, or where. It's just like silly. Well, we just got this thing, you know, how each of the four of them escape from their prisons is the best, in my opinion, the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's fucking awesome. And this is going to be fantastic. And I do like how they snuck in the TV theme song version.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's exactly
so
that.
cool. And then you're like, oh, that's just half the movie's over now.
Yeah, we're trucking kind of right along through it. As the truck comes right towards the screen in the movie, I like how Sosa like puts on the 3D glasses, and I thought maybe there was going to be a message in the 3D, you know? But no, as the Humvee comes right towards the screen, a real Humvee crashes through the wall. Of course, one of the inmates was like, oh, this is great 3D. It might have been Murdoch. I don't know. But, you know, it's an easy joke, but it worked, you know?
It does. It does. I think this is the moment, too, where I'm like, I'm sorry, but Jessica Biel is she's too pretty to be in the position she's in.
I know, right? Sometimes it's like you're too hot. You're too hot to be here.
Yeah, like I'm trying. What's her name from Fast and Furious?
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez would have been perfect for this.
She's got a bit more of a toughness to her.
Yeah, tough, badass, but also still sexy too. You know, and like. I think that would have been more convincing to me. Jessica Biel with her, like, you know, just has like I'm just like, no, you're the romantic comedy type. You're the romantic comedy type. And you're good. That's your wheelhouse.
What was it Seventh Heaven? Is that where she got her start?
I think so. With that pederast.
Yeah. What's his nuts from fucking the first Star Trek the motion picture.
Stephen Collins.
Yeah,
he played Decker.
Yeah, Decker. Yep, in Star Trek the motion picture.
And he wore a yellow outfit.
Yeah, that's my favorite Star Trek movie, by the way, is the motion picture.
Wow.
You went full Owen Wilson. Wow.
Well, this is also the same Corey who earlier said, yeah, you know him from The Phantom Menace. What?
Yes. Fucking Qui-Gon. Fuck you. Qui-Gon's one of my favorite Jedis of all time. Fuck you. Don't shit on The Phantom Menace. That's a great fucking movie.
Not Suspect with Cher?
I'm sick. Leave me alone. Why are you yelling at me? Zach had a look on his face like, why are you yelling at me?
What about Juliette Lewis? She's a little bit older, but she. No, maybe
Can
not.
I tell you? I'm not like the biggest Juliette Lewis fan.
No, but you know what? This actress, she's a little bit older, I think. So maybe she's too old for A-Team. Whatever, who cares? But the actress who was in California, who was David Duchovny's girlfriend.
Yes, her.
She would have been great.
Oh, what the fuck? She has like I know exactly who you're talking
She's got a
about.
little mole right there.
Yep,
Linda Fiorentino kind of vibes, you know?
Yeah, I always liked her.
Yeah. That's who you need. Jessica Biel is like too with my high heels. Like, no, if you're working in that position, you're wearing flats. You're wearing flats because you're walking around all day having to do hard shit. Don't give me this Michael Bay bullshit.
This is post Stealth, dude. They've been trying at this point. They've been trying to push Jessica Biel as an action hero, and it never clicked. It never clicked.
Put her in flats.
Right? Yeah, it's like if you're gonna have Jessica Biel, then at least put her like in military boots. Like, give her something.
Yeah, or like don't put on that much makeup. Just like a little bit more subtle.
Mm-hmm. You're so
Anyways,
funny.
moving
You're
on.
like, why are you yelling at me? Sosa gets thrown to the ground as everyone in the room cheers. Face pops out of the passenger side and tells Murdoch that his chariot has arrived. The crazy pilot hops in and BA punches it in reverse. Hannibal's in the back seat. As the team speeds for the tarmac, Sosa and her team give chase. The A-Team pull up to an AC-130 I like this scene, that's being prepped for takeoff.
Me too.
Hannibal walks up the ramp to the men that are securing the tank, and so like three guys are like securing a tank in the back of the AC-130. AC-130s are those giant military airplanes that you see that can transport tanks essentially.
Yeah.
I like how one of the men sees him and says, "Oh shit, that's Hannibal." The colonel smiles and says, "Are any of you armed and or wanted federal fugitives?" "Well, we're both, which means," and he kind of gestures to the ramp. One of the soldiers asks, "Are you taking the plane?" Hannibal says, "And that's why I joined the army. The best and the brightest. Appreciate it, boys. That'll be all." And I like how the soldiers are just like, "All right, fine." And they just get off the plane and leave. And in the background,
I actually like that.
Me too. I think that's funny because in the background, the whole time, like Face and Murdoch are fighting to get BA on the plane. But like, it's a fun little exchange.
Yeah. No, it is. It's. We're about to have a really more over the top wackiness. I love it.
And this is the shit, like you said, this is the shit that's fucking awesome, is when the movie goes massively big is when it's at its best, I think.
Yep.
And this is probably the most preposterous thing I've ever seen in a movie, period, but it fits. Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV, and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.
And now, back to the show. The team eventually all pile into the cockpit, and Murdoch gives BA a blue pill. See, this is like, BA says it better knock him out. And that's what I'm like, but BA never wanted to be knocked out. He never wanted the pill, you know?
I know.
Yeah, I know. I think we have the most problems with how BA is done in this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the writers and the director had the most problems with BA as well.
Probably like, we'll just do the best we can do.
Murdoch makes matters worse by pretending not to know how to fly the AC-130. Yeah, no, it's funny. Murdoch finally gets the plane heading down the tarmac just as Sosa and her men show up. The AC-130 is heading right towards them, so they kick their truck in reverse and floor it. The AC-130 keeps building up speed, and since its wings are so long, it knocks the open canopies off all the fighter jets sitting on the runway, essentially grounding the entire squadron. So, like, this shot here of them knocking the canopies off, and then the tank thing, like, this is all from the trailers. Like, they use this all in the trailers.
Yeah, and I've kind of, it's not my favorite set piece in this film.
The tank part or this flying part?
The tank part.
Okay.
Tank.
Oh, okay. I actually like the tank part, even though it's absolutely preposterous. I actually enjoy it.
No, I do too. It's not my favorite, like, I think, but it is enjoyable for sure.
Okay. Murdoch takes off right before the plane runs over Sosa and her truck, but the landing gear does smash the roof in for good measure. The A-Team aren't home free yet. They now have to contend with fully armed subsonic UAVs. Murdoch launches countermeasures to evade a salvo of missiles, but one gets through and blows up their right engine. We see Sosa in the UAV control room trying to get the army to stand down. She needs Hannibal and his men alive, but the UAV pilots have other orders. They launch another missile and Sosa watches it hit the body of the AC-130. The UAV pilot says they have shoot down. Hercules has been intercepted and destroyed. Cut to Hannibal, Face, Murdoch, and BA all crowded inside the tank as it falls to Earth. BA starts to wake up and says, "Tell me we ain't still on that plane." Murdoch says, "They ain't on that plane," with a smirk. Outside, the UAVs start shooting at the tank, whose parachutes have now been deployed. Hannibal tells them to fire up the tank's weapon systems. Face pops the top hatch and gets on the heavy machine gun and starts shooting down UAVs. BA asks why they're in a falling tank, and Murdoch says, "Because the plane exploded." That's a good line.
Yeah, it's really funny. And Murdoch is used really...
like sparingly, but like the right amount.
Yeah, he's used the right amount. Otherwise, he would get annoying. And I think that's why in the TV series, it wasn't as enjoyable because it was just like all the time.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think they could have easily made Murdoch a bit bigger, given him a bigger role, and it would have been too much. I think you're right. I think we have the right amount of Murdoch in this movie, and he does play off well from BA, but he's kind of better when he does his own thing.
Right, I agree.
And also, it's really funny when Face is on the machine gun and he's like laughing maniacally as he's shooting the UAVs down.
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
One of the UAVs Face shoots down explodes and destroys 2 of the 3 parachutes. Face gets back into the tank and tells Hannibal they're in trouble. Don't worry, though. Hannibal has a plan. He spots a lake a half a mile away and tells everyone to load the main cannon because they're not like falling directly towards it. Hannibal tells Face to rotate the gun 82 degrees and fire. So basically they rotate the gun directly to the left. This pushes the tank a little bit to the right. Face keeps shooting and they keep moving over until they are headed like directly towards the lake. The final maneuvering shot takes out the last UAV and Hannibal tells Face to aim the cannon straight ahead. Hannibal tells him to fire everything and the tank splashes down in the lake. There's like this little joke with an old couple fishing with dynamite on the lake that's actually pretty good, but I'm just going to leave it like just watch the movie. It's funny. It's cool, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, but you don't need to go and watch Marvel Age of Ultron, and that's another, people destroying a community a little bit differently in Sokovia. I don't know why I just thought of that. I just thought of that when this was happening. I'm like, is that Sokovia?
It does look kind of like Sokovia. Yeah. Cut to the CIA field office in Germany, which looks like kind of like a hotel. And Lynch is in his bathrobe while everyone is in their suits around him. He gets a report that UAVs in Germany were shot down by a tank. It's like a tank shoots down UAVs, and he says the higher ups thinks it's a communication error, but Lynch knows better. Because, they get across the wire, like, a tank just shot UAVs out of the air as it's falling. Like, you read that, and you're like, that's not right. There's some sort of miscommunication here.
Right.
But that is what happened.
It is. Like when fake news is actually real news.
Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Cut to Sosa getting in a helicopter. One of her men says that they have a report of a German lady seeing a tank drive up and out of a lake and someone matching Murdoch's description asking her for directions to Berlin. Now we see Sosa and her team in the U.S. European Command Center. They finally have one unscrambled picture of the man that visited Hannibal in prison. Sosa sees who we know as Lynch and remembers he was in Baghdad the day before everything went to shit. She tells her men to get her a line to Langley. She's going fishing. Cut to Lynch having lunch with one of his analysts. So Lynch has these two guys with him. They're kind of silly. They're kind of funny. I don't really track much about them until we get to the car ride with Pike. You know, that scene.
Yeah.
But also, there's this weird scene with this secretary. Like a very sassy secretary here that doesn't go anywhere, but I'm kind of like, I want to see more of her, you know?
Well, it's interesting because Lynch, his character here becomes really douchebaggy. And up until this point, he's not douchebaggy. He's kind of like matter of fact and you kind of likable in a way. Like you're like, oh, this guy's going to help them out. But this is the moment where you're like, oh, this guy's a total tool bag. And it's such a abrupt change in his behavior. Like he goes from like kind of cool and calm to like suddenly it's just he like talks faster and he's annoyed and like I don't know, it's like temperament. Like he just has a different energy about him. To me it doesn't totally jive. It's still funny though because he's good at playing a jerk.
Yeah. Well, and
I actually like him more in a jerk role than I do in a hero role.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think like at this point moving forward, I just assumed he's the bad guy now moving forward. And I think it comes from sort of how he acts in this scene here.
Yeah, this is like a Wall Street kind of vibe to it.
Yes. Yeah, like, yeah.
Cocky rich guy vibe, you know.
Because he's also sipping on like champagne or something, you know.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I get it. So cut to Lynch having lunch with one of his analysts when his secretary gives him a phone. She says it's Sosa from the DOD looking for Lynch from Baghdad. Lynch reluctantly takes the call. She asks if he visited Hannibal in prison. And of course, Lynch denies any involvement. She says if Lynch is helping the A-Team retrieve the missing plates, she'll have to go out of her way to disappoint him. Sosa hangs up on Lynch, and he looks pissed. He tells his men to monitor every movement she makes and report back. They also, bug her phone and everything.
Yeah.
Just then, one of Sosa's men gives her the same picture Hannibal and Lynch had earlier of Pike and the unknown Arab man. He tells her that they have been spotted going from the train station to the same bank in Frankfurt, Germany, multiple times over the past month. Her men argue whether or not Hannibal and his men have the same intel. Sosa says, we should assume they have more information than us at all times. That's cool. I like any dialogue that props up the A-Team.
Dun, 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 dun.
Cut to Hannibal and the A-Team making another plan. Tomorrow, the last of the plates will be transferred from Pike to the unknown Arab inside the Königsbank Tower in Frankfurt. It marks the only time in the past 6 months that all plates will be in one location. This is their best shot at getting them back. Hannibal tells Face that it's time to bring in Sosa. He asks why he would tip her off. Hannibal says because she's a crusader, and they'll need her teed up at some point. The only problem is, if Sosa is onto them, they can expect Lynch and his men will be onto her. And if Lynch thinks she's standing between him and the plates, he won't hesitate to kill her. Hannibal tells Face to get to the Frankfurt train station.
Every time you say Sosa, I think of Sammy Sosa. And it's like, suddenly I see Sammy Sosa wearing high heels, in a skirt. Just not sexy, Jack.
No, Sammy Sosa in his skirt is not sexy, Jack.
And when you say unknown Arab, I hear just an unknown Arab. Unknown cowboy? Is it? Oh, or was it?
Just a
cowboy.
Just a drugstore cowboy?
No, rhinestone.
Rhinestone cowboy. There it is. So somehow you went from Arab to rhinestone.
I don't know why. Unknown Arab, rhinestone cowboy.
Drugstore cowboy, rhinestone cowboy, what?
And then Sammy Sosa in a skirt.
Zach's got all the medications inside of him working right
Didn't
now.
he bleach his skin too, Sammy Sosa? Did he?
That I don't know.
I think he did. Like he yeah.
Why don't you Google that?
Yeah.
Why don't you go do that?
I'm pretty sure Sammy Sosa did that.
Oh, no.
You remember he played for the Cubs, didn't he?
I'm not a big baseball guy, but I do remember it was Sammy Sosa and...
Yeah, bleach skin.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at... I'm going to show you a picture then and now. Look at this.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
He's like... He went from...
He pulled a Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wowzers. Woo, boy.
Anyways.
Whoa, man.
Sorry.
At the train station, we see Sammy Sosa and her men undercover. Sosa goes to a payphone and answers it, but there's nothing but static on the other end. We see a sniper has her in his sights and gets the green light to take the shot. A man brushes past Sosa and drops something in her pocket. Sosa looks around and can tell something is wrong. She tells her men to pull back, and as she walks away from the phone booth, the shooter loses his target. Just then, the phone that was put in her pocket rings. She knows who it is before she answers it.
Do you know why, though?
What, buddy?
Did you pick up on why she knows who it is?
No.
Because he talks about Steely Dan when they first dating, and the song is Reeling in the Years by Steely Dan.
You're 100% correct. I noticed it. It wasn't this scene. I noticed it later after the whole thing, after the boathouse explodes, when they call from the boat. That's when I noticed
when the butthole explodes.
When the butthole explodes. I noticed that the Steely Dan song then.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a nice little, like, better pay attention kind of thing.
It's funny how remarkably tight some parts of the movie are, but not others.
Well, this is the closest sequence to Mission Impossible.
Yes, this is very Mission Impossible-esque. Like this whole section, like this part here and then ending with like the bank feels very Mission Impossible.
Yeah. And I will see the new Mission Impossible movie when it comes out. I'm very excited about it because I like that franchise. It's not because it's Tom Cruise, because I actually like the franchise.
I didn't see the last one, but for the most part,
it's good.
I've seen them all and I enjoy them, but I didn't see Dead Reckoning, I think part 1 or something like that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. I mean, I want to. I'm with you. I like that franchise more than like the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah, I never saw those, Diallo.
Diallo, you failed as a friend. You need to show Zach.
I mean, no, you don't need to.
I'm sick. I don't have time to watch those.
Past 2-3 days, I was really, really sick. This is the first day that I've actually felt like I'm getting better without having to take any antibiotics yet. Hopefully I don't have to, knock on wood.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you for making it through this.
Oh, it's what I do, baby.
I mean, it's our job, right?
Like it is. Da, 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 da.
Da, da, da. So good point on that. She knows it's him because of the Steely Dan song, the ringtone. Face tells her that Lynch has all her comms bugged and she needs to pull her team out of there. Sosa says she's going to find him. Face says, "Not if I find you first," and pulls her into a photo booth. It's kind of funny because as they struggle, the camera flashes go off. But then
it's funny.
Yeah, I like it. But then Face eventually gets Sosa's left hand cuffed to a bar and then the gun out of her right hand.
Yeah.
Face tells her to stop struggling. He's trying to save her. She thinks Face is lying to her, but he says she lied to him first. She asks when. Face says, "You want to go there? Fine. You heard I was a player and you wanted to play. And then I got serious and you panicked and you ran." Sosa stops struggling and Face reminds her that he's a federal fugitive. Does she really think he's in Frankfurt to hash out old times with her? No, he's here to clear his name, and he believes in her, even if she doesn't believe in him. Face does the cool guy thing and acts like he's going to kiss her, but tells her to hold on to the phone instead and leaves her handcuffed in the booth. As Face walks through the airport, he nonchalantly fires 2 rounds of his pistol into the ground, then points at one of Lynch's men and says in German that he has a gun. Everyone screams and runs, and Face leaves with the crowd.
Yeah, that final sequence is funny. I didn't need the photo booth scene. I'm like, nah, it's just,
But it was funny how they the camera's flashing while they're sort of fighting.
That is funny. Yeah, that is funny. But it's a little cliche. I was just like, oh, this is a little cliche. And this is for the ladies. It's for the ladies watching this right now.
But was it cliche in 2010 or is it more cliche now in 2025?
No, I think it's just cliche. Like it's
in general.
It's kind of like I could see it reminds me of Romancing the Stone. A little bit of Jack Colton being so cool with Michael Douglas being so cool with Kathleen Turner. Even though Kathleen Turner was not a badass like Sammy Sosa
to be.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's that same kind of energy of like, it's I can walk away. I can walk away from this.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But it's funny because I would love to have this conversation with Bodie because he doesn't have as much, history with film, just from sheer
he hated
age.
the scene.
But I'm curious if he would think it's cliche or is this sort of like new to him, But he hated the scene.
He just hated the scene.
It was sus.
Yeah, he wanted it to be over when they were like all up in each other. And it is kind of like a sexy romantic scene. You're like, nope.
Oh, Bodie. Oh,
he's not there yet.
I know.
He did say to me the other day, he's like, that's his biggest fear is like, he's like, when am I supposed to start liking girls? I get scared about that. And I go, there's nothing to be scared about, bud. I said, but it'll happen when it happens. I said, you don't have to like girls. It's not a thing you have to do. But in my mind, I'm like, you probably will, but maybe you won't. I don't know. It's, it's like it's all on him.
Yeah. Everyone's got their own path to walk, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, it can happen. He goes, but when did it happen to you? I'm like, I don't know. It was like 14 or 15. Reality, it was like 8.
Yeah, I know.
And,
I know.
And I go, it could happen when you're like a teenager. He's like, okay, I got a few more years then. And I'm like, yeah.
He's like, shoo.
Yeah. I said, don't worry about it, kiddo. It's just I said, these things just happen as you get older,
Yeah.
Part of life. He's like, I don't want to grow up. I'm like, I know, I don't want you to grow up either, but can't do anything about that. So
is he 11 now or
he's 10?
10. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. There's no rush, man.
I'm
Come
still
on, Bodie.
reading
There's
him.
no rush.
I'm still reading to him at night and singing to him at night. So it's amazing. Hold on to that as long as you can,
Yeah, dude. You're doing it right, buddy. You're doing it right. This is hands down my favorite sequence section of the movie right here. I love this.
Was this the shootout?
Yeah, the bank thing. Yeah. Cut to the Königsbank Tower. We see Pike and his men escorting the unknown Arab, and once you know who it is, it's pretty obvious. You can see it.
Unknown Arab. See? Like now it's in your head.
I know. Now it's going to be in everyone's head. So he's escorting them into the building and up the elevator to I don't know, the 20th floor, something like that. They're pretty high.
It's high.
Yeah. There, the last of the salvageable plates are all compiled into one briefcase that is attached to Pike at the wrist via handcuffs. One of the Black Force mercs looks out the window and sees a window cleaner working on a building across from them, but doesn't think much of it. We, on the other hand, see that the window cleaner is B.A., who just happens to be holding a grenade launcher.
Just happens to be holding a grenade launcher.
And this is another shot that was in the trailer,
Yeah,
they kind of kept this scene in its entirety in the trailer.
Yeah, this is a great sequence.
He aims it at the room Pike and the Arab man are in just as Hannibal starts rappelling down the side of the Königsbank Tower. B.A. times his shot so that his tear gas grenade smashes through the window just as Hannibal swings in. And that's the coolest part, is how awesomely timed it is.
Yeah, agreed.
The colonel throws a couple flash grenades to create a distraction. He then puts a bag over the Arab man's head, a parachute on his back, and chucks him out the window for Murdoch to snag the parachute with the runner of his helicopter and whisk him away. Next, Hannibal shoots the cuffs off of Pike, grabs the briefcase, and repels out the broken window. Pike stumbles to the window and shoots down at Hannibal, knocking the briefcase from his hands. BA jumps into action by rappelling off of his window washing ledge. At the same time, Hannibal crashes through a window a few stories above ground level. As BA quickly rappels down, Pike tries shooting him from the adjacent building. He can't hit the Ranger, so he goes for the winch holding BA's rope. This sends BA crashing through a skylight, skylight as Pike rappels by hand down Hannibal's rope. He's shooting his machine gun the whole time. BA recovers the briefcase and runs into a parking garage with Pike in hot pursuit. Cut to Sammy Sosa and her team getting reports of shots fired at the Königsbank Tower. She tells him to drive. Back in the parking garage, Pike is still throwing lead at BA until a well-placed shot sends him to the pavement. Pike, looking sweaty and tired, walks over to BA while saying, "You made me work for this one, Baracus. I didn't think I was this out of shape. I am, unfortunately." I just thought that was kind of realistic because he is sweating.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's legit.
I know, right? But it was kind of badass that he by hand rappelled down the fire. Like, he kind of wraps his jacket around the rope, but he does, it's fucking badass.
It is badass. And, it's Brian Bloom's sitting behind a VO booth versus on screen. So,
This
probably.
Is true. Yep. Pike kicks the briefcase away, then kicks BA over onto his back and asks where the rest of the team is. Pike picks BA up and lands a few blows. The pacifist Ranger says he's not going to fight back. Pike knocks BA back down to the ground with a headbutt, and BA pulls a pistol on him. Pike raises his arms and says that he's going to kill him. The moment the hammer on BA's pistol goes back, it's on. Just then, a car comes screeching around the corner and slams into Pike. Hannibal says, "Whoopsie," and BA gets in the car with the briefcase. As Hannibal speeds out of the parking garage, Pike gets to his feet and runs after it, shooting out glass doors in the process. He almost intercepts Hannibal and BA, but is surrounded in the street by German police and Sosa and her men. As Pike reluctantly surrenders, he says, "Yeah, this is the right amount of cops." Sosa says he's lucky there are people around. Pike says, "No, sweetheart, you're lucky." Ooh. So this whole scene, dude, and like kind of coupled with the scene previous with Face and Sosa and everything. I know you didn't like the phone booth, whatever, but the two of them together, the two scenes together, feel the most Mission Impossible-esque.
Yeah, and this is the moment where the humor is balanced pretty well, and the shootouts remind me of a little bit of Heat, Michael Mann's Heat.
Yes.
The firing of the guns and everything. So it's really well done. Yeah, it's a fun scene.
Yeah. Cut to Hannibal and his men in an abandoned boathouse on a lake in Germany. They have the unknown Arab...
A butt house?
The butt house.
With an unknown Arab.
He's sitting on the stool with the hood still on his head. The first thing the colonel does is lay into Face about contacting Sosa. He thinks it was a bad idea and that Face was thinking with a different head. Face says he did what Hannibal wanted and he got her teed up. She knows we didn't steal the plates. Hannibal says, "She'll be thrilled to find out who did." Face says, "What?" Hannibal starts talking to their hooded prisoner. He says, "You had to know if you left me alive, this was coming. How could you not?" Everyone looks confused and says, "Hannibal? You know who this is?" The colonel says, "We all do," and removes the bag to reveal General Morrison in disguise.
It's like a Scooby-Doo episode.
It's so fucking Scooby-Doo-esque, bro.
If it was Dabney Coleman, it would be funny. But
yes.
Because it's Gerald McCraney, it's more serious.
Yes, if it was Dabney Coleman, it would be funny.
Big rips to Dabney.
Oh, big rips. What was the movie where he thought he was going to die? Short Time?
Short Time.
Short Time. I loved that movie as a kid.
I do too. Dustin and I have a running joke on $2 late fee about that because Dustin can't stand that scene where he's driving in the car with his son and his son turns on Roll With It by Steve Winwood.
Yeah.
And they start like grooving to Roll With It and Dustin hates that scene. It's like he despises it with a passion. So I will play that clip often on $2 late fee just to bug him.
Good. Go easy on him now, though. He's had a hard year so far.
He's had the worst year
ever,
and you can find all about that if you listen to 80s Kids Unite.
Yeah,
but go back and listen to that episode. Yeah.
And thank you so much to everyone who has donated to Dustin and Aaron's GoFundMe page, as well as Max and Jasmine's, Max from Ready to Retro. Thank you guys so much. I mean, I don't know, if any of our people have, but they're bringing in some money, so that's good, because they lost everything. They lost everything.
Yeah, I mean, literally, guys, they lost everything. We did a whole story about it on the 80s Kids episode, and go to our socials and you can read more about it. But absolutely tragic. So thank you for even thinking good thoughts. That or expressing sentiment or whatever. Goes a long way.
Yeah, everything helps. It's
just like a unknown,
just like General Morrison.
Just like he's not Dabney Coleman.
He's the poor man's Dabney Coleman.
He really is. Gerald McCraney's the poor man's Dabney.
And as a kid, I thought they were the same person.
Yeah, well, they're both white, so there you go.
With mustaches.
Yeah.
I mean, the A-Team reacts as you would expect to this. Because I think, we don't really get it in the movie, but he was kind of like a father figure to all of them, essentially.
Cue the song, Father Figure.
Hannibal tells his men to wait outside while he talks to Morrison. He tells Morrison that he knows he was working with Pike and Lynch, but he turned on Lynch. The general says that Lynch was never going to cut them in on the deal. Lynch brought in the A-Team as insurance. Cut to Hannibal. So now Hannibal's outside. Cut to Hannibal talking to Lynch on the phone about Morrison. Hannibal is pissed that Lynch knew about Morrison masquerading as the Arab and didn't tell him. The colonel asks if Lynch thought he was just going to shoot Morrison on the spot. Lynch says yes, and he still does. He tells Hannibal to kill Morrison, return the plates, and reclaim their lives. Hannibal says he wants amnesty agreements for him and his team signed by the White House, State Department, and Joint Chiefs of Staff. Lynch says he's going to need a little time. Hannibal asks how much. Lynch looks at a laptop showing an Army gunship 5 minutes from its target. He says, give me 5 minutes? Hannibal hangs up and then checks his tape recorder. He got the whole conversation as evidence of Lynch's involvement.
It's a great setup, and you're like, oh no, what's going to happen?
The butt house is going to go boom. Cut to Hannibal holding a gun to Morrison's forehead inside the abandoned boathouse. The disgraced general wants Hannibal to shoot him, but Hannibal says that death is too easy. The last thing we need is another lie. Hannibal tells Morrison that he's going to tell the army everything and clear their names. Morrison says it won't mean shit since they are federal fugitives. Nothing will change that. Foreshadowing. Hannibal walks outside the building to be with his team. Face says, "Boss, could you do that? To us? What Morrison did?" Hannibal says he'd rather face a firing squad than betray them. Face shakes his head and says, "Yeah, but you didn't see it coming, though." And so this is now Hannibal's thing. Like, now Hannibal is shook because, to his core, because no, he didn't see this betrayal coming.
Right.
And that's Hannibal's thing, is he's a planner. He sees all the angles.
Right.
On the TV show, did Hannibal ever have any moments where he wasn't perfect like this,
I don't remember. I don't think so. I feel like it was way lighter.
Yeah. And it's an episodic TV show that was old school 80s, so every episode is technically kind of the same formula and whatnot.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, Hannibal kind of says to himself, "No, I didn't see it coming." And then he pauses and we hear the motors of the gunship approaching. Hannibal yells "move" as a giant AC-130 flies over and destroys the abandoned fishing boat, the butt house, with Morrison inside. Cut back to this is my favorite line in the movie. Cut back to Lynch watching it happen on his laptop. He says, "Awesome! That looks exactly like Call of Duty, doesn't it?"
Yeah, Bodhi laughed out loud when he said that.
That's a great line right there.
It's really funny.
Yeah. He then tells his men to get a scrub team in there and get those plates back. Cut to Sammy Sosa and her men interrogating Pike. As expected, he isn't very cooperative. Sosa says she thought he and Hannibal were working together. Pike says she thought wrong. He tells her to get smart and start cutting a deal before someone else does. Too late, though. Just then, Lynch walks into the interrogation room and hands her a piece of paper and says, "Unless you have a piece of paper that looks exactly like this one, then this troubled young man belongs to me." Lynch's men escort Pike out of the room. Sosa says to Lynch that if she could seal him inside this room, she'd be doing the world a favor. I like how Lynch kind of makes finger gun motions to her and says, that's not nice.
Yeah.
You're right.
Funny.
Patrick Wilson, when he's a dick, is the best Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. Not when he's playing an Elvis song,
right?
Fighting ghosts,
and fighting ghosts and playing Elvis songs at the same time.
Who thought that was a good idea? No one.
How many of like the Conjuring universe movies have you seen? And I'm talking about Annabelle, The Nun. That's all part of the same universe.
This one I saw, I think, with Fern. It was free. I think we went to a free screening. I've only seen one of them.
Conjuring
I don't need
2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where I think he plays, guitar in Conjuring 2.
I don't need it. I'm like, I don't need it.
Yeah. I don't
give me
them.
something like that. I'm telling you, that movie Longlegs, totally original.
Yeah.
It's like, what if you took Silence of the Lambs and mixed it with like Psychic X-Files?
Okay. Dude, I'm dying to watch it. Although I'm more dying to watch The Substance. And I think I have the Blu-ray coming for that pretty soon.
I'm kind of tempted to pull the trigger and have us do Longlegs as a breakdown.
Okay, well then maybe I'll just pick up the Blu-ray or the 4K just to have it, just in case you pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I'm teetering and tottering.
I do want to show Myra that. I do want to watch it with her.
Yeah, we are. We got a lot of fun things planned for later this year, guys. So, anyways, yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Cut back to the A-team searching the wreckage of the destroyed boathouse. Hannibal tells them to
Butthouse?
Butthouse. Why is that funny? It is.
It's just hilarious.
Because I'm a simple man.
I like simple things like butter in my ass and lollipops in my mouth.
I knew right when I said I'm a simple man, you were gonna complete that for me.
I always finish you off.
You always complete me. Yes. They retrieve the plates from the back of their destroyed truck. Murdoch says, without Morrison to clear their names, the plates are worthless. What do they do now? Hannibal says he doesn't know. Oh my God, Hannibal doesn't know. It falls flat, bro. It kind of falls flat.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys and gals, I know we're ragging on this movie, but I legit love this movie. But like the script's not. It's just they make some choices that I'm just like, just get to the fun. You know what I mean? Just get back to the fun.
Yeah, don't have to like do this heavy-handed stuff.
Yeah, because like when this movie's fun is when it really fucking works, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna work pretty soon.
Oh yeah. Oh, the climax is great.
Climax should always be great.
It is for me, baby. It is for me.
Well, that's...
Face says he has Lynch figured out. Hannibal asks if he has a plan. Face says, give me 20 minutes. Cut to Lynch riding in the passenger seat of his CIA-issued SUV. In the back, Pike is sitting between Lynch's two goons that sort of been with him the whole time. Lynch tells Pike that Morrison and Hannibal are dead, and in 15 minutes they'll have the plates. Pike says, what are you, gloating? Lynch says, no, this is me beating you after you burned me. Pike says that was Morrison. He never had to deal with Lynch. Lynch doesn't give a shit. The CIA stooge named Kyle, to Pike's left, screen right, pulls out his gun and starts fumbling with it, trying to attach the silencer. I know this scene is silly, but I actually really like it, and I think it's a fun little breakup of the seriousness.
Yeah, me too.
So Pike has to like tell him how to like attach the suppressor, and he kind of corrects him, like, because the guy says like, I'm putting my silencer on. Pike's like, it's called a suppressor. You know, it's like, I love how disgusted Pike is with the whole situation. And he looks at Lynch and says, final request, don't let this guy shoot me, please.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole scene, there's a lot of visual gags going on in the scene. Cut back to the A-team, and they are on a speedboat racing away from the destroyed boathouse. Face calls Sosa from a satellite phone. Back in the CIA-issued SUV, Pike breaks out of his handcuffs and relieves Kyle of his gun, but then gives it back and tells them to never cuff a man with his hands behind his back. You can't see what they're doing. Pike shows Lynch the open handcuff, and Lynch says, cool, I like that. Lynch looks at Kyle and says, are you all right, you idiot? Kyle says, yeah, it was a good hit, as he rubs his jaw. Just then, the other CIA stooge to Pike's left, or to his right, screen left, gets a phone call and hands the phone to Lynch. Now, I say he gets a phone call and hands it to Lynch, but really, he's like on the phone talking with the gun in his other hand, and like Pike is like, Jesus Christ, like watch out for the gun, and Lynch is like, dude, pick it, a gun or the phone, pick it. You know, there's a lot of comedy going on here.
I love it.
So he hands the phone to Lynch. It's the tap on Sosa's phone. So now Lynch is listening to Hannibal talking to her. Hannibal tells Sosa that they have General Morrison in custody and can prove their innocence and burn Lynch. They also have the plates. He'll deliver Morrison and the plates at the LA docks in 48 hours. Sosa agrees and Lynch is pissed. He turns around and asks Pike if he believes in second chances. Cut back to Face, and Face calls Sosa directly on her burner phone that he gave her at Frankfurt. And that's when this is when I noticed the Steely Dan song.
And by the way, Reelin' in the Years is like probably the most popular Steely Dan song, so it's probably the smartest one to go with.
Yeah.
But they should go with Dirty Work.
Like the movie?
No, the song Dirty Work by Steely Dan. It's a banger. It's a banger. It's a more of a ballad, but like it makes more sense. Dirty Work, like just it's because the lyrics are like, I don't wanna do your dirty work no more.
I know that song. Song. Yeah.
I don't wanna do your dirty work no more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
That's a good song.
Perfect. Actually, Steely Dan is amazing. Like y'all, do you know that besides the fact that Steely Dan were roommates with Chevy Chase, I think people know that story.
I knew that. Yeah.
The guitarist Skunk Baxter was in the FBI, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's named Skunk Baxter because of the insane amount of weed he used to reek like when he would come in. That dude, and with a big old like mustache, and Skunk Baxter was amazing. Michael McDonald sings backup songs on like so many of their songs, but Peg will come back to you. Peg will come back to you. That song that you can hear Michael McDonald singing in the background on that.
Shit.
Yeah, Michael McDonald actually sang a backup on a bunch of Steely Dan songs. They were so good.
No shit. I need to dive into Steely Dan. Like it's one of those things where I kind of just know the main stuff, but I like everything that I know, and
you can't miss with any of their stuff. If you go, obviously Asia is more popular, AJA, but Can't Buy a Thrill is really good.
Okay,
that's probably one of my favorite ones. But,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
okay, buddy. Here's the scene that you could completely fucking jettison from this movie. Cut to a little comedic scene of the team going through customs as they try to fly out of Germany. BA and Murdoch get their passports reversed.
So stupid.
And hijinks ensues. Like,
I mean, it's funny, but it's also stupid.
But it does nothing to push the story forward. And again, at 2 hours, like again, I'm these scenes here. I'm waiting for the next fun moment to happen, the next big set piece,
But it allows Murdoch to show off his ability to speak
Swahili. And yeah, Sharlto Copley is South African. He born and raised in South Africa. So I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason he knew Swahili and they wrote this joke into the movie. It feels like it's a joke that's written into a movie because the actor knows how to do something specific. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and it's
like if Sharlto knew how to juggle, and they wrote a scene of him juggling just because he could do that. I bet he could probably speak Swahili, so they wrote this little scene into it.
Right. It's funny. It's funny. It's a funny scene, but yeah. As
they walk down a ramp to what BA thinks is a boat, turns out to be an airplane that lands on water. I don't know if they call it amphibious planes, but it's one of those airplanes that takes off and lands on water. Waterplane?
Big
I don't know.
Waterplane.
Yeah, it's a big
seaplane.
Yeah, seaplane. There you go. Seaplane. Thank you. That's why I keep you around.
Was Cutter Cutter was the pilot? No, he was for the whale, the G.I. Joe whale.
Yes.
Cutter. Yeah.
The whale was the
hydroplane.
Yeah. I love that thing. It
was awesome. I have that still.
Oh, dude. So, of course, BA's pissed, but Murdoch injects him with a needle in the back BA crashes to the ground, and Face reminds him to catch BA next time. Okay.
That's kind of funny. It comes back to.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorta.
It's fine. The team uses the plane to fly out to a container ship crossing the Atlantic. Now it's time for Face's plan. He says that Lynch is an administrator, not an operator. You have to flush him out with theatrics. You have to flush him out with theatricality because he never gets his hands dirty. Then bring him down to ground level and put him on display for the whole world to see. The whole time Face is saying this, he's doing the whole 3-cup trick, hiding the money, but,
3-cup Monty.
What is it called?
3-cup Monty, isn't it?
Okay, I think you're right. I couldn't think of it when I was doing the breakdown.
3-card Monty or what? Yeah, something like that.
Guys and gals, it's the three solo cups. You move them around. You have to guess which, where the money is or whatever. But he's doing balls, anyways, like metal, like ball bearings or something. I don't know what he's.
It's all about ball bearings. Hey,
hey, dude! I accidentally kind of I was putting a sort of a sharp knife away, and I kind of just picked myself in the finger. It was like nothing major, but it hurt. I literally went, "Hey!" I sounded like Chevy Chase in that moment. Come on, guys! Hey! So we see
build
Hannibal,
up on this window.
We see Hannibal. Okay. Oh, sorry. We see Hannibal's tinkering. So now montage. Now it kind of kicks in. We see Hannibal tinkering with a baby doll's voice box, and he's changing it to sound like his voice with a screwdriver because, of course,
Yeah. I
Sure.
mean, this is the thing about the montages. They're so over the top. At one point, Kristen or Bodhi were like, wow, how are they getting all these things? I'm like, because they're the A-team. They're the A-team.
That's all that matters. They're the A-team.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
It's very comic booky in a good way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love this is what I love. These are the moments of the movie that I love. I don't love the fucking passport kerfuffle. Because first off, let me roll back real quick. First off, they're too fucking good to have mixed up the passports.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And then that implies that there's no picture on the passport. It's even the joke, it's broken from the beginning,
Right.
And I don't like them looking like morons. So we see Hannibal doing his thing. We see BA loading a bunch of firecrackers into shipping containers. And Murdoch is making a bulletproof metal helmet lined with ketchup packets. After the montage is over, we see Hannibal give BA a pep talk about fighting for what you believe in. The scene ends with BA holding clippers and looking in a mirror. Next, it's Face who needs a pep talk because it's always Hannibal that comes up with the plans, and he's worried his won't work. Murdoch says he trusts him. Face says, yeah, but you're crazy. They both laugh, and Murdoch says, not that crazy. Time for the final act, baby.
Baby.
Cut to the port of Los Angeles, and we see the container ship the A-team was on is now docked. We see Lynch and his men are stationed all around the port and have eyes on the ship. Face takes his position at the crane controls that moves the containers. He lifts up a container on the 5th row, and Lynch sees Hannibal walk out of the container to the left of it and stand under the container that's in the air. Lynch moves his team into position and holds. Hannibal gets a phone call and says, you lied to me, Sammy Sosa. You were once African-American, now you're white.
You bleached your skin.
You bleached your skin. You lied to me. We had a deal.
It's true. And he tried to deny it. He's like, no, it's the lighting. And I did do a little bit of bleach, basically bleach my skin a little bit, but it's the lighting. That's why I look like, and then you look at the before and after pictures and you're like, what? Like, hey, it's all good. Yeah. Everybody has the right to do whatever they want.
Lynch listens to the whole call and it sounds like the deal is off. Hannibal tells the team they're bugging out and then grabs fake Morrison from the container to the right.
He grabs Jim Morrison. And Jim Morrison goes, break on through to the other side.
Waiting.
Come on, now touch me, babe. Better.
As Hannibal, I went through a Doors phase. We all did back in the day.
We all did. You could say, I went through a Doors phase. I'm no longer in the Doors phase.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm more of a Steely Dan kind of guy.
As Hannibal, Fake Morrison, and the plates walk back to the right container, Lynch tells his men to take the shot. Just as the sniper is about to pull the trigger, the container hanging above Hannibal lowers
Above
down,
Hannibal.
Above young guy Christian.
Young guy, Christian.
Hannibal lowers, above Hannibal, and it lowers down on top of him and deflects the bullet. So obviously they cut out the bottom of that shipping container.
Yes. They work fast.
They do. They only had like a couple hours.
Right.
Lynch and Pike are confused as to what just happened. Just then, Face does the 3-cup trick, but with shipping containers, further adding to the confusion. Once Face places the containers down on the dock, fireworks shoot out and 2 cars, remotely controlled by BA, start driving around. Lynch tells his team to engage, but Pike knows it's a diversion. The 2 remote control cars are disabled, and Lynch tells the ground team to check them out. As they do, BA and Face shoot fireworks at the gasoline the cars were intentionally spilling behind them and blow them up, as well as the CIA ground team. So, like, did all these CIA guys die in that explosion?
Yeah, so they don't
the
show
A-team
it.
did do that.
I kind of, like, didn't say anything to Kristen or Bodhi at the time, but I didn't say anything. But in my mind, I'm going, yeah, they killed, like, 10 guys.
Yeah, like CIA guys, yeah.
But they're CIA, so it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Because all CIA are bad.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is saying.
I mean, yeah, that's very tropey, you know, that like to have like sort of so like the nerdy FBI agent is tropey, and then having like and I even think this like the sort of like the extravagant CIA guy who like, you know, drinks champagne, like that's
Right.
tropey too, you know.
They always paint the FBI as being the Elliot Ness, we can do it.
Yep.
Then the CIA is always the bad guy.
Yep.
It's always been that way. Go watch Sneakers.
Yeah, fucking love Sneakers, and that we saw that 4K's coming out, right? Oh boy,
Yeah.
I'm buying that one, baby.
All right.
Zach's like, I need a 4K player.
Yeah, buy me a forklift. No, I have the Imprint did a Blu-ray version of it.
Okay.
That I have. I think it's Imprint. They also did Mazes and Monsters.
Yep, I remember that movie.
Which I watched and I'm like, oh. Sometimes there's a reason why things are not available on DVD or Blu-ray.
Yep.
Anyways, I have Sneakers. It's in a slipcase. It's cool.
Man.
But the new one, the Kino's releasing a 4K version of Sneakers. So Kino always puts the 4K and the Blu-ray in there. So
yeah, you should be good, and I can't wait to show that one to Myra. That's just one of those movies where like it's fucking fun from beginning to end.
Yeah. Some people I know don't like it because it's like too bubbly. I love it. I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect spy movie.
Yeah, I don't need things to always be like you know, as serious as a heart attack. Like, I don't need it. I saw Sneakers in the theater and I fucking loved it.
Me too. Saw that with mi madre.
Aw.
There's that one scene where what's his face? Donald Logue plays the Russian guy and he's being seduced by the Russian woman. It's a little hanky panky.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not the worst thing you've seen with your mom.
No.
Yeah, no. You're like, not even close. No. Face tells BA to get into his next position, but Pike has other plans. He takes a rocket launcher and punches a hole into the cargo ship, sending it toppling over and the containers spilling out all over the port. BA dodges falling containers and Face uses the crane to swing down to the ground below. Pike pursues them into the rubble. Face and Pike exchange gunfire inside the maze of metal containers. Face tells BA he's running out of ammo and needs backup. Just as Pike has Face dead to rights, BA comes flying in on a motorcycle to save him. He jumps off at midair and tackles Pike. BA then picks up the mercenary and slams him to the ground on his head, breaking his neck. Face cheers as BA takes off his black beanie, revealing his mohawk underneath. I mean, this is supposed to be the scene where you're supposed to stand up and cheer.
It's the scene where I stood up and went pee.
I know. Did it feel a
It's
little bit
anticlimactic?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. Again, we've said it's because Brian Bloom is not a bigger deal.
Yeah, and or like it would have been nice for him to put up a little bit of a fight. Like he just gets he just gets killed. Like, and that's
a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. That's why like the Koenig's Bank tower scene is my favorite scene in the movie. I like this climax, but that's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, I still like the breakout scene.
Oh yeah, no, that's good too.
That's my favorite.
Too. Now we see Lynch being lured through the container maze by the sound of Hannibal's voice. He eventually finds who he thinks is Morrison sitting in a container. Hannibal pops out of the shadows and they fight, but Lynch eventually gets the upper hand. He does some villain monologuing and then shoots who he thinks is General Morrison in the head with Hannibal's gun. Lynch picks up the plates and walks over to Hannibal, who proceeds to own Lynch and take his gun back. Hannibal says, "Your Muay Thai is as bad as your jiu-jitsu, Lynch. Better stick with a gun."
Muay Thai,
Muay Thai, yeah, sorry, not Muay Thai, Muay Thai.
Your Muay Thai is bad as your pina colada. And getting caught in the rain.
Good call, buddy. He holds his gun out for... Don't know, Zach Stein.
No, don't.
He holds his gun out for Lynch to take it, and when the CIA stooge goes for it, Hannibal beats him down again. This time, Lynch falls near his own gun and puts 2 rounds into the Kevlar covering Hannibal's chest, sending him to the ground. Lynch says the Kevlar saved his life. Too bad it won't stop a bullet from popping his head. Hannibal says, "It will if you melt it down." Just then, Morrison sits up and Lynch turns around. As he does, the whole container lifts up to reveal Sammy Sosa and her men aiming guns at Lynch. Sosa calls him by his real name, Vance Burris. As she
J.D. Vance?
I know, I thought the same thing. As she places him under arrest.
I wish.
I know.
Sorry.
I know.
Just kidding, everybody.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Fucking Christ, guys. B.A. helps get the metal helmet off Murdoch, and Hannibal congratulates Face on executing the plan. And I mean, Murdoch is like, oh, his bell is rung. I do like that. Like he, like you talking about how like he, they could have overused him.
Yeah.
In this movie, I think they kind of underused him in the climax.
Well, he makes that line of like, "I've got the most to lose" at one point.
Yeah.
He said, and you're like, what do you mean by that? And
they never elaborate.
He has enough moments throughout where he shines. I think they do a pretty bad. This is the Bradley Cooper. This is the Face and Hannibal show.
Yeah. They are the 2 main leads.
Yeah. And I meant to call back too when they're going through the airport really quickly. Liam Neeson has his natural hair. Well, or his natural, fake hair or whatever.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's during the scene that I hated, the swapped, passport.
It's when they're going through the airport. Yeah.
Was that was that like a disguise? Because his hair was like his normal color. It's not because his entire movie his hair's like white. So that's his disguise.
Yeah. So face
but
had
his
a beard.
disguise is just Liam Neeson's normal hair color without the white put in.
Well, it was his Liam Neeson Just for Men hair color.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which I subscribe to as well. But I will say, like, so, Face's disguise was a beard. Well, not a beard, but more of a thicker 5 o'clock shadow.
And like a turtleneck or something.
Yeah, because, that's what unfaced people do.
Yeah.
And Liam Neeson's natural hair, where you're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, but then he goes right back to the weird gray hair, and you're like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. And why didn't they make it like as white as George Papard's? Is it because this is a prequel and so they we're supposed to assume it's going to get whiter?
Maybe that's a good way to look at it. I doubt it. I'm sure they're just like, we're going to make it blondish.
Yeah.
It's a little odd, but yeah.
And then we kind of get the denouement here. The next day, CIA agents led by a separate Lynch, played by John Hamm, come and claim custody of the original one. Despite their success in proving themselves innocent, the military still arrests the A-Team for escaping from federal prison, which is a criminal offense. Sosa is reinstated to the rank of captain, and she promises to do all she can to free the team. As Face and the rest are being put into the back of a U.S. Marshal's truck, she gives Face a long kiss. In the back of the truck,
Bodhi was like, "Hey, yo," and I go, "Don't worry." She put a key in there.
Yeah.
He's like, "What?" I go, "Just watch."
In the back of the truck, Hannibal says that they did the right thing by returning the plates and can hold their heads high. Murdoch and BA agree, but thinks it's bullshit they're going back to prison. Hannibal reminds them that no matter how random things feel, it's all part of the plan. Faye says, "I don't mean to steal your line, boss, but..."
Yeah, I love this.
He opens his mouth, revealing a handcuff key given to him by Sosa through the kiss, and says, "I love it when a plan comes together." And I do love it when, like, Bradley Cooper smiles. Like, he's so happy about it.
Yeah,
and
he's having a good time.
He's having a good time.
He's Face.
He's Face Man. The classic A-Team music kicks in, and we get the classic narration from the TV show. Still, but it's they do like a little bit of like a cool like reverberate, like an echo thing. It's like, "Still wanted by the government. They survive as soldiers of fortune," and it kind of like lowers or something, and then it goes to the whole thing, and it says you can hire the A-Team. You know?
Yeah.
Did you stick around for the credits or the end of the credits?
Of course I did, because I told Bodhi, I'm like, "There's going to be an end credit scene," because I know George Papard passed away.
Yes.
Mr. T didn't want to be a part of this. Yeah. And that's fair.
And I'm so glad they didn't put these two piece of shit scenes in the movie.
Me too. Are these outtake scenes, or are they aftermath scenes? Because if they're aftermath scenes, then they're still in prison.
No, I think they're outtake scenes. I think they shot them with the intention that they would be in the movie, but I think they just didn't work. So you see Dirk Benedict, who's looking pretty old, and he's in prison. He's using the tanning booth before Bradley Cooper gets in it, and then it's like, "Hey, how do you stay so ripped?" And then Dirk Benedict's like, "It's all about the face," or something stupid. And then we get a shot of Sharlto Copley getting like electroshock therapy, and the original Murdoch is one of the doctors, and he's like, "Oh, is he crazy like, or is he crazy like, and I'm just like, I'm glad that these were relegated to post-credit scenes, because I thought they were both fucking terrible.
Well, see, this is where I go, the TV series probably in 2025 doesn't hold up nearly as well as it did back in the 80s, when the tongue-in-cheek, very lighthearted, cliche stuff went over really well. Nowadays, it's just like, ugh, God, it's very ham-handed and too cheesy.
Yeah.
Because these last two scenes are very reminiscent. It's the two guys from the original series, but it's also very reminiscent of what the tone was of those,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It is what it is. Stephen J. Cannell created a myriad of shows. A lot of them were very silly and lighthearted, like those two scenes are, and like many scenes in this movie. But I think this movie does a really good job overall of moving into the 20 whatever century with like what a modern take on this series would be. A few scenes aside that obviously didn't work for us. At the end of the day, This movie's fun. The final act, the climax, is way over the top. It is so like, it's like the scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when Ego is like his mass is taking over the Earth. It's just like over CGI, just blah, 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 like the Blob.
Yeah,
because the container is falling all over the place.
Oh, it's
really
so CGI,
so CGI, and so kind of,
and it's 2010 CGI.
Yeah, it's really cheesy. It's really stupid, but it's really funny. Like after that, no, I think overall this movie's a lot of fun. Brian, I'm so glad you brought it to Pad and suggested it. It's definitely outside of what we normally do on Pad, because what we normally focus on is horror, sci-fi, exploitation type movies from the 70s and 80s and 90s. For those of you that are just joining us based on, this is the A-Team? I love that movie. And then you check out the rest of our catalog and you're like, whoa, these guys do this kind of stuff? Because we do a lot more like darker themed movies.
Cult stuff, yeah, because this is way more mainstream than we normally cover, yeah.
I mean, David Iron's eyes look like they're going to pop out of his head on $2 late fees Tales from the Video Store when you said this is the movie we're doing. It's like, whoa, what? But anyways, it's still fun.
Yeah,
it's still fun
it
to go
is.
down. And I highly recommend everyone check this out. This is one of those movies that even if you know all the spoilers, it's just silly to watch. And it was a fun ride and great job breaking it down, buddy.
Thanks, man. I spent actually a lot of time trying to figure out what was important and what wasn't. But I'm really glad you liked it. I was kind of hoping you would. I knew I did. And, granted, I hadn't probably seen it since probably 2010, so I'm glad it held up at least for me. But I'm glad you liked it. Everything you said, I completely agree with. It's not a perfect film, but it's fun from beginning to end. And I said at the beginning of the movie, I think it does a great job of sort of distilling down, the A-Team and bringing them into like sort of the modern era, but still maintaining like the shit that we sort of loved and the characters and everything and the tone. Like, yeah, the original A-Team was maybe a bit more cheesy, but it, this has its moments. It's silly. It's funny. It's, this and that, but it's also action-packed. And it's a fucking fun movie from beginning to end. It's a shame we never got another one. I know there was supposed to be a sequel, but I think the fact that this movie didn't do great is why it got canned. But I think that's a shame because I think this is actually pretty damn good. But I view it as a prequel to the TV show, or even maybe one day we'll see an actual reboot of the TV show. But until then, I think this is a good example of how to do one of these like old 70s and 80s TV shows and bring them into the modern era and bring them into the modern era. I think this is an example of one of the better ways to do it. Maybe not the best. Maybe Brady Bunch the movie might be like sort of the best example, but I do think that this is like in the quadrant of the better examples of how to do it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a nice homage to the original series. Has the heart in the right place.
Perfect, buddy. This movie definitely has its heart in the right place.
I was going to say, too, that apparently Greatest American Hero is getting a reboot. They've been working on that for a couple of years now.
Oof. Okay. Well,
so don't be surprised if that comes down the pipe.
Okay. Cautiously optimistic. But what I'm not cautiously optimistic about is the future of $2 late fee. What's going on, buddy? I know you got things planned and we got stuff coming up in the future, but this is January, towards the end of January. So what's February got in store for $2 late fee?
Yeah, February every year is the start of the new season of $2 late fee, and eerily coincidental, Dustin he's taking a break, a hiatus for a little bit, and he started that in December, and then obviously January was hell. So
which is sadly, even if he didn't announce it, he probably would have had to anyways.
Yes, yeah. So fortunately for $2 late fee, I was able to prepare ahead of time as far as what I was going to do moving forward with the show. So we're going to be doing kind of similar content to what we were doing before, but I'm bringing in for the month of February, bringing in a great, awesome 80s influencer named Grace Marion. If you look her up on Instagram, she has a wonderful page. She wrote this. Well, she'll be able to tell you more of her story, actually, on an upcoming episode of Tales from the Video Store. So if you're a Patreon subscriber for $2 late fee, or if you're not, go to patreon.com/$2 late fee. For the month of January, at the tail end, by the time this airs, that episode should be out. Grace is going to join me on Tales from the Video Store to talk about, appropriately enough, favorite comfort movies that we rented from the video store in the 80s, and kind of coincides with all the things going on right now that we need to remember how to find that happy place when things are looking dark. But Grace will share her story as to how she got involved in the 80s nostalgia, love. And she wrote these magazines called I Heart Rudy because she's a big Monster Squad fan.
Oh, that's cool.
Like maybe an Uber fan. She's actually in the Wolfman's Got Nards documentary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so she also joined us on 80s Kids Unite in December for our holiday special. And she's rad. She's super rad. She'll probably hopefully she'll join us for the 80s Kids Unite February episode. But all month long, as far as $2 late fees content is concerned, Grace will be my co-host for Side Out, the 1990 volleyball movie starring Peter Horton and C. Thomas Howell. Our interview that'll connect with that with Christopher Rydell, which I think horror fans will know him from Dario Argento's Trauma, and a whole lot more. And then Territory Marks will be status quo moving into season 3 with Territory Marks.
Yeah.
So Grace will be joining me for $2 late fee in February, and then we roll into Martial Art Madness, but talk about that when we get into February.
That's right, and you might hear me, Corey, a bit more on $2 late fee moving into this year. Whenever Zach needs me, I will always be there.
Oh yeah, because by the time this episode drops, we've already done it. But we're doing a new show called Versus. It's live on YouTube.
Really? Because this is dropping on Monday. When are we doing that?
The last Sunday? Sunday.
Wait, you haven't told me that. I didn't know that.
The last Sunday of the month. Surprise!
Oh, golly. Okay.
You'll be able to.
I'm sure.
You'll be able to.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, so by the time this already dropped, there's a new show on our YouTube, $2 late fees YouTube channel called Versus, where we take two topics from the 80s and battle them back and forth with each other. Corey will be joining me for the inaugural episode where we debate Filmation Ghostbusters versus the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And what happens? Well, you'll just have to go and check out that episode.
That's right. It's a good one. It's a good one. All right, guys and gals. Thank you again to Brian, a.k.a. Oi Lung on Patreon.
Oi.
Does he go by Oi Lung on the $2 late fee Patreon as well?
I mean, he does, but he calls himself, we call him Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
Thank
Big
you
Brian.
for being a Patreon member.
Yeah,
Thank
Brian.
you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for picking the A-Team. Fucking love this movie. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side, fool. I pity the fool who don't catch.
I pity the fool don't catch you on the dark side.
Pity the fool who don't catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Hey everybody, Corey here.
And it's me, Zach.
We wanted to tell you about our new show called The Coscarelli Factor.
You can find it on our Patreon at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. The Coscarelli Factor covers every single film that Don Coscarelli has directed. And some other little bonus features in there too, like maybe the music videos he directed as well.
That's right. You can find all the episodes under the Auteur de Force tier on our Patreon page. Like Zach said, that's patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. And if you sign up today, you will get access to the complete Carpenter Factor series, where Zach and I went through every single movie that John Carpenter directed, from Dark Star all the way to, well, all the way till the end. So sign up today to our Patreon page and you can unlock all kinds of other things as well, like ad-free episodes and our monthly wrap-up After Dark show.
Patreon helps keep the lights on in the Podcasting After Dark world. It gets pretty dark out there at night, and all your support keeps us from getting too scared.
And thank you to everyone who's signed up to our Patreon page. We really appreciate it. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
I'm John, and I'm the host of Action Action. Every week, I'm joined by James.
Heyo.
And Dustin.
Hello.
And each week, we review, debate, and rank a different action movie.
We're creating the ultimate list of action movies.
From awful to awesome.
So if you want to hear 3 more white guys with beards talk about action movies.
And argue about where they belong on our list.
And decide you hate us because we made fun of your favorite movie.
Join us every Tuesday, and you can find us on your favorite podcatcher.
And Steven Seagal is a joke.